Chapter 736. Donghua Shui Ying's expression paled. Monarch Hex Cricket, White Sovereign King, Water Devil King, and Devil Phoenix were all stunned. They turned to Donghua Shui Ying, hoping for a miracle to happen. Even though they had guessed that a paragon like the Black Gourd could only display its power once, it would be extremely difficult for them to use it a few more times. Like that terrifying weapon from the ancestor mother religion, which had a power close to that of the Black Gourd, it could only be used once and could not be used a second time within a short period. They understood in their hearts, but they still hoped for a miracle. It was only after seeing the pale expression of Donghua Shui Ying that they understood. They have always been fighting with their avatars. Even though the previous battle was so strenuous and difficult, they did not reveal their true bodies. Donghua Shui Ying felt helpless. Their true bodies are still hidden, waiting for the crucial moment to deal a fatal blow to us. This time, they are willing to pay any price to snatch the primal chaos flying ship. Come, the golden-haired monkey roared. Isn't that gourd of yours quite formidable? Why don't you use it again? The four of us are here to die. If you have the strength, then take our lives. The three apex protectors stared at Donghua Shui Ying. Within the vast palace hall of the ancestor mother religion, the group of religious leaders did not have any joy on their faces. They were watching silently. Even though the previous battle was intense, other than the 6 protectors that were killed by Purgatory Great Commander's Purgatory Reincarnation and Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's true body and avatar, the other protectors did not truly die. Their true bodies were still alive. But from this moment onwards, every protector that died would be a true death. The power of the Black Gourd was too terrifying. If it could be used again, all protectors would simply be sending themselves to death. Hence, they only sent 4 protectors, led by the golden-haired monkey. They were the first batch to die. Even if they were to die, they had to be strong enough. If they were weak, there was no need for the Black Gourd. A group of paragons could easily eliminate them. The previous 6 protectors have died. Protector Plum has died for our tribe. The fanged religious leader's eyes were filled with pity. More protectors will truly die in the future. But this time, we must obtain the Chaos Flying Ship. No matter how big the price is, it has to be paid. The Fang Patriarch's voice echoed in the hall. The other patriarchs remained silent, staring at the scene in the air. In the scene, the golden-haired monkey and the other 3 guardians were standing in the red light, roaring at Donghua Shui Ying. The 10 rulers in the starry sky outside the Chaos Flying Ship also fell silent. After the golden-haired monkey and his 4 protectors appeared, they fell silent. What I was most worried about has finally happened, Bloodblade said. Empress Qian, he also nodded. Originally, we thought that they wanted to occupy this cosmos, but they might not go all out and even send their true bodies in. If both his main body and clone were to be sent in, then there would be no way out. If they failed, all the protectors would die, unless it's absolutely necessary. Unless it's the final madness before death, they won't do it. Under normal circumstances, even if they wanted to invade an entire universe, even if the sect leaders ordered the protectors to charge in with their true bodies and avatars, the protectors would still resist. No one was willing to leave no way out, unless they were already at their wits' end. Only then would they be willing to do so. For the sake of victory, they are willing to sacrifice everything. Primal Master shook his head. Let's see if Donghua Shui Ying can continue using that gourd. If he can, we might still be able to win. If he can't, then there's really no hope. Temporal Island Lord frowned and said coldly, such a strange treasure must have very harsh conditions to use. It will be extremely difficult to use it continuously. Perhaps there's still hope. The silver-armored Purgatory ruler also said, let's see. Perhaps Donghua Shui Ying really obtained an extremely powerful strange treasure, one that can be used continuously with the strength of a paragon. Abyss Primogenitor said, we can only watch. Peng, he said softly. Qing Jun, on the other hand, looked silently at his young junior brother. Zaziz, a treasure that can unleash the power of a peak ruler? The enormous statue Gu Qianluo by the side watched with interest. It's not bad. It's just that its attacking methods are too stupid, and there aren't many variations. It can't even kill an ordinary ruler. At most, it can force him to retreat. Although he was curious, Gu Qianluo didn't care about it at all. After all, he was the seventh saint under the Ancestor Bone throne. The value of a primal chaos flying ship far surpassed the imagination of these rulers and religious leaders. It would be interesting if it can be used a few more times. Otherwise, it would be too useless. Gu Qianluo watched the battle leisurely. He really didn't care about the life and death of the two races. He didn't care about the destruction of this cosmos. He just needed a helper. Why aren't you attacking? We are here, and you can kill as you please. Why aren't you attacking? The golden-haired monkey sneered. The other three apex protectors also sneered. They weren't willing to attack because their goal was to delay for time. As long as they could maintain for 10 breaths of time in the red light region, they would be able to win. That's right. Previously, they were all killed, causing their time to start counting again. Donghua Shui Ying didn't touch the black gourd. The four of them heaved a sigh of relief. Although they had the determination to die, they were willing to die for their race. But if they didn't die, wouldn't it be better if they could live well? Like the three holy protectors, they could have become religious leaders long ago. It was just that they didn't have sufficient resources. As long as they survived, after they won the war, they could construct the Ancestor Mother altar. The golden-haired monkey and the others could become religious leaders. In the future, they might even be able to walk further and see more sceneries. You only have these few protectors left? A cold voice resounded. Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, Mysterious North Imperial Empress, and Paragon Hua Cheng appeared once again. This isn't enough for us to kill. Paragon Hua Cheng sneered. Attack! Donghua Shui Ying kept the black gourd too. He teamed up with his companions once again. Why are they still fighting? The golden-haired monkey and the others had a slight change in expression. Now that they were dead, they were truly dead. Previously, they were in despair, but now, they still have the will to fight. The reason why they had the will to fight was because Donghua Shui Ying transmitted to his companions, I can still use the black gourd one more time. However, many protectors from the Ancestor Mother religion might be hiding in the treasures. We have to force out more protectors. Even if we can't force out all of them, as long as we can force out the majority, I'll use the black gourd to kill them all. As for the remaining ones, we will have a chance of winning if we surround them. After all, we have more than enough time, 10 breaths of time. At that moment, even Mysterious North Imperial Empress and the other two who had previously cultivated avatars and were waiting outside the flying ship in despair had rushed over. There were even more paragons who had cultivated new avatars and were rushing over. Kill! Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, Monarch Hex Cricket, Water Devil King, White Sovereign King, Donghua Shui Ying, Devil Phoenix, Purgatory Great Commander, and others were rushing over one after another. The golden-haired monkey and the three apex protectors could not hold on any longer. They could not just send themselves to death. Dying under the attack of the black gourd was worth it. Dying under the joint attack of these paragons would be a meaningless death, because the moment they died, the other protectors would have to come out and continue fighting. They would similarly be surrounded. So. Many apex protectors were forced to come out. Finally, when 16 apex protectors and 2 holy protectors appeared, they were able to completely defend against the joint attack of the cultivators. We can't force any more protectors out. Donghua, 8 breaths of time have passed. Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, Monarch Hex Cricket, and the others transmitted to Donghua Shui Ying. Donghua Shui Ying softly nodded. He wanted to force out more protectors from the Ancestor Mother religion, but the Ancestor Mother religion was not foolish. They were not willing to bring out all of them, afraid that they would be wiped out by Donghua Shui Ying. His head was still aching, but Donghua Shui Ying had already made his decision. Donghua Shui Ying, are you really going to use the black gourd again? The treasure spirit's voice transmitted into his mind. Don't be foolish. Your soul is currently heavily injured. If you reuse it again, your soul might not be able to withstand it and collapse. Once you die, I can't stay here. I can't let the other paragons and Gu Qian Luo control me. I will return to my original world. You will no longer have the chance to obtain the Black Gourd, and you will have failed the third trial. If I fail, so be it. Refining the Black Gourd is too difficult for me. It has already been 600,000 years, and I don't see any hope. Even after 1,000,000 years, I'm afraid I won't be able to refine it. Dongbua Shui Ying transmitted. How can you give up before the final moment? Even if you are defeated this time, you can easily escape with your survival techniques. In the future, you can refine the Black Gourd and become a new Voidwalker. Your path of cultivation will be completely different. This is a huge opportunity for you. The treasure spirit reminded. This is a war between two races. I can't cower from it. It's worth it to exchange a treasure that I have little hope of refining and recognizing its owner for the hope of my entire race. Dongbua Shui Ying extended his left hand. The Black Gourd appeared in his hand once again. Hua! Devil Phoenix displayed her domain with great tacit understanding, bringing all the paragons with her before teleporting away. Only the protectors from the ancestor mother religion were left in that region. They were still attacking, yet their opponents had disappeared. Stop, 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 stop for me. The treasure spirit anxiously shouted. Chapter 737. The moment the Black Gourd appeared in Dongbua Shui Ying's hand, the treasure spirit became anxious. He transmitted anxiously, stop, 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 stop right now. Hurry up and drip a drop of blood onto the Black Gourd. If the treasure spirit had said something else, Dongbua Shui Ying would not have bothered with it. After all, the protectors of the ancestor mother religion would be able to hide in the treasure if he delayed for even a moment. But the words of the treasure spirit made him stop. Drip a drop of blood onto the Black Gourd? Dongbua Shui Ying could not help but let his imagination run wild. You brat that doesn't want your life, hurry up and drip a drop of blood on it. Isn't this what you have always wanted? The treasure spirit urged. Dongbua Shui Ying had some thoughts in his heart. He grabbed the Black Gourd with his left hand and dripped a drop of blood. This drop of blood touched the Black Gourd, and the Black Gourd naturally absorbed this drop of blood. Wang, Dongbua Shui Ying felt a sense of familiarity coming from the Black Gourd in his hand. It felt like his limbs. He could easily sense everything within the Black Gourd. There was a huge and mysterious array enveloping a fireball. That fireball was vast and boundless, and the ripples it emitted were merely the shallowest part of its power. Even though the fireball was powerful, it was completely controlled by the void array. The fireball was entirely red. Endless waves of fire were rolling about, and the power contained within was unimaginable. Dongbua Shui Ying had obtained the Black Gourd for so many years, yet he had never felt the fireball so clearly even when he displayed his control technique. Treasure spirit, have I successfully refined the Black Gourd? Dongbua Shui Ying could not help but ask. He did not display his control technique, yet he could sense the entire Black Gourd so clearly. The only explanation was that the Black Gourd had recognized him as its master, but he had merely dripped a drop of blood on it. In the past 600,000 years, he had thought of many methods. He had tried dripping a drop of blood on it, but it had all failed. You have already refined the Black Gourd. The Black Gourd has recognized you as its master. Why? Can't you sense whether you have refined it or not? The treasure spirit unhappily asked. Yes, yes. Dongbua Shui Ying was overjoyed and confused at the same time. I also thought that I had successfully refined it, but I didn't do anything. I only released a drop of blood, according to what you said, and I succeeded? The artifact spirit sneered. Dongbo, do you really think you can refine a defensive treasure like the Black Gourd with your cultivation base? The Black Gourd itself contains the mysteries of the array. Don't you feel it yourself? I feel it. Dongbua Shui Ying transmitted his voiceover. Over 600,000 years, what I have comprehended is only the tip of the iceberg. I don't have the slightest confidence in refining it. This is a formation that can suppress and control fireballs. Not to mention you. Even your master, Bloodblade, can't refine such a formation. An exalted expert, let alone 1,000,000 years, even if he had 10 billion years, he still wouldn't be able to refine it by himself. Then why did Senior Voidwalker set the third test? Why does he have to refine it within 1,000,000 years? Donghua Shuiying asked curiously. It's simple. The artifact spirit explained. There are 3 tests. For the first test, if you can obtain the Black Gourd, it proves that your overall potential has reached a higher level. The second test is a test of your perception. After all, there are very few Voidwalkers, and not everyone is qualified to cultivate them. Your perception has passed the test. The third test is a test of your temperament. Temperament. Donghua Shuiying's heart skipped a beat. If you're an evil being, the stronger you are, the more harm you will bring to the living beings. The earliest founder of the Voidwalkers was an extremely benevolent being. He did not even want to trample an ordinary ant to death. He had been to countless places, passed through countless universes, and helped countless weak and small living beings. He had long set the rule that his people did not seek to be kind, but he would never allow evil beings to cultivate his legacy. So, the third test, refining the Black Gourd in 1,000,000 years, is actually for me, the artifact spirit, to observe your every move and determine your temperament. If your temperament is evil, then I'll naturally leave after 1,000,000 years. If you pass the temperament test, I'll let you drip a drop of blood to recognize me as your master after 1,000,000 years. The original duration of the test was 1,000,000 years, but you brat just had to seek your own death. No matter what, after 600,000 years, I've seen your character clearly. You've treated your disciples, your old friends and brothers, and your race. You've done all of these very well. Even when you travel around the cosmos in search of opportunities to refine the Black Gourd, you didn't kill the innocent and lived in seclusion in the mortal world. You even treated the weak mortals with respect and politeness. You've passed the temperament test too. Donghua Shuiying finally understood. It seemed that the final test had always been in the hands of this artifact spirit. That's right, Senior Voidwalker was no longer around. He must have arranged everything for the artifact spirit. As Donghua Shuiying was conversing with the artifact spirit, he delayed his actions. It allowed the protectors from the ancestor mother religion sufficient time to react. They were so frightened that they quickly hid in their treasures, leaving behind the golden-haired monkey and the other 3 apex protectors. They were all staring at Donghua Shuiying, or more accurately, at the Black Gourd in Donghua Shuiying's hand. Their eyes were filled with terror and fury. Donghua Shuiying, why didn't you act? Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction transmitted. What's going on? It was such a good opportunity just now, yet you didn't act. Now, they're hiding inside. White Sovereign King also transmitted question. He could not blame Donghua Shuiying, just that this was clearly not in accordance with the plan he had set. Brother Donghua? Paragon Hua Chang shouted out too. Donghua Shuiying only reacted after hearing the transmission by his ear. He could not help but turn to the group of paragons in the distance. Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, White Sovereign King, Devil Phoenix, Mysterious North Imperial Empress, and others were all looking at Donghua Shuiying. The paragons from the side of the cultivators were also looking at Donghua Shuiying. After all, he was the crux of the matter. I'm ashamed. Donghua Shuiying transmitted. This strange treasure of mine is extremely hard to use. Just when I was about to use it, I suddenly had a sudden enlightenment, greatly improving my control over the treasure. Currently, I can still use it a few more times, and not just once. But because I had a sudden enlightenment, I was delayed. Sudden enlightenment? You can still use it a few more times? The group of paragons was startled and delighted. Previously, they felt that their chances of victory were slim. At this moment, they felt that their chances of victory were extremely high. However, many of them felt slightly guilty. Even Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction transmitted over Donghua Shuiying. I'm sorry. I did not think that you were in the midst of comprehension previously. That's why I transmitted over and destroyed your comprehension. Donghua Shuiying, we were too anxious previously and interrupted your enlightenment. The paragons all transmitted over. They were clear how hard it was to obtain enlightenment. Just a short moment of enlightenment had allowed his control over the Black Gourd to greatly improve. If he had comprehended for a longer period of time, his control over the Black Gourd might have improved further. It's a pity that it was disrupted by them. It's fine. Dongwu Shui was speechless. He had casually found an excuse. After all, he could not possibly say that this was the third trial set by the Void Walker, and that he had passed it. And on the other side, the golden-haired monkey and the other 3 protectors from the ancestor mother religion who were prepared to die felt puzzled. This Dongwu Shui should have suddenly used that Black Gourd strange treasure to kill us all. Why didn't he? Unless he failed to use it? That's right. How could it be that easy to use such a strange treasure consecutively? Perhaps he might not be able to use the Black Gourd anymore. If that's the case, without the threat of the Black Gourd, we will definitely win. Chapter 738. It was normal for the golden-haired monkey and the others to think this way. Not just them, even the rulers outside the primal chaos flying ship and the huge sculpture Guqian Luo, who was watching silently by the side, could not help but think, why did he not use the Black Gourd at the crucial moment? Could it be that he could not use it? It was understandable that a paragon could not use this strange treasure a second time within a short period. Pong! Dongwu Shui pulled out the stopper of the Black Gourd without any warning. Pong! The black ripple appeared once again. It brought death and destruction. Before the golden-haired monkey and the other 3 top protectors could react, the black wave had already invaded their bodies. The bodies of the other 3 top protectors were a level weaker, so they were instantly crushed. They only had time to show shock and pain in their eyes before they were crushed into nothingness. He can still use it, but why did he not force more of our protectors out? Why did he attack directly? The golden-haired monkey could feel that the deepest part of his body was being destroyed. He knew that death was approaching. At the same time, he felt sorrowful and puzzled. Unless he can use it more times? The golden-haired monkey stayed within the red light region for close to 9 breaths of time. Even though it was possible for the group of paragons to force him to leave, the other apex protectors from the ancestor mother religion might appear to help him. The moment 10 breaths of time passed, he would be defeated. Hence, Dongwu Shui did not hesitate to act. He did not care about using it one more time, because he was no longer suffering from the backlash of the Black Gourd. This feeling is truly... Dongwu Shui grabbed the Black Gourd. He could feel the terrifying energy surging within. Nevertheless, the Void Array was extremely obedient. It could perfectly control every strand of energy, preventing it from harming him. He could even control these ripples as he pleased. Previously, he could only foolishly unleash them in a single direction. And now, if Dongwu Shui was willing, he could rely on the Void Array to control these ripples. For instance, he could split them into 18 ripples and attack in 18 different directions. He could even form a sphere to protect himself completely. This was also possible. This was the benefit of having recognized a master. But this is the interior of the primal chaos flying ship. That mysterious Guqian Luo is the master of this ship. It is better for me to remain low profile and not be targeted by him. Dongwu Shui remained vigilant. Boom! The golden-haired monkey's body was being torn apart. He was roaring angrily, but the sound of his roar could not be heard. Anger. He couldn't accept this. But in the end, his body completely disintegrated into nothingness. A holy protector and 3 apex protectors had disappeared. With a thought, Shui stopped the black ripples rushing out from the mouth of the Black Gourd. He directly said, "Act and force more of their protectors out." All right, force them out. The group of cultivators and supremacies were all in high spirits. After entering the chaos flying ship for so long, this moment was the most exhilarating. The ancestor mother religion protectors had to come out. If they didn't come out, the treasures they were hiding in would be obtained by cultivators. At that time, they would be in an even more miserable state. A total of 9 top-notch protectors appeared, led by a robust man with a staff. All of them were filled with anger and pain. Following the encirclement of Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, white sovereign king, and a large group of paragons. More apex protectors were forced out. If they didn't come out, the paragons alone would be enough to kill them. Are we going to lose? Could it be that this Dongbua Shuang can use that black gourd again? How could this be? Even though the apex protectors were fighting, they were feeling sorrowful in their hearts. They could vaguely feel death approaching them. In the distance, Dongbua Shuang stood there without participating in the battle. He only held onto the black gourd in his hand without plugging it. Clearly, he could act at any time. The protectors who were fighting felt heartache. In the distant palace hall of the ancestor mother religion, the religious leaders were releasing their auras. Their eyes were filled with sorrow, anger, and pain. After all, how many protectors were there in the entire ancestor mother religion? Most of them were their disciples whom they had nurtured. Now that they were about to die on a large scale, this was a true death. The sect masters all felt a chill in their hearts. We have long lost our path of retreat. After sending them into the primal chaos flying ship, they can only win. Bloodblade and the others have already sealed the surroundings of the primal chaos flying ship. The moment they lose, they can't even escape. The fanged religious leader said, "There is no path of retreat. We can only win. Right now, we can only gamble on the fact that this Dongbua Shuang can only use that black or a few times. This is the only hope for them to survive." But that Dongbua Shuang has only used it once against Protector Qian and the other 3 protectors. Clearly, he is very confident. A thin and weak old man muttered. Silence reigned. The other religious leaders were silent. They were looking at the scene in midair. Within that scene, Dongbua Shuang had already used the black gourd once again. That vast ripple that made others feel despair enveloped the world. Because the paragons had suddenly disappeared, the remaining 18 protectors did not have the time to escape. They were swept by this ripple. Other than the muscular man with a wooden pole, the other 17 apex protectors dissipated like dust. The muscular man could only hold on for a few moments before dissipating with a silent roar. So. This time, before the paragons could force them out, the remaining 10 protectors appeared. With the venom-tailed girl as the leader, there were 9 other apex protectors. They were all looking at Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang was also looking at them. If you can use it one more time, then kill us, the venom-tailed girl coldly said. They knew that it was futile to struggle. Come. The other 9 apex protectors were looking at Dongbua Shuang. They were either benevolent, cruel, cold, or tyrannical. But at this moment, they were calmly facing death, because they were clear that there was no path of retreat. Under such circumstances, they were naturally disdainful of wagging their tails and begging for mercy. Dongbua Shuang looked at them. He could feel the determination of these protectors. He said, "Your race wants to live, but the price for your survival is to construct the ancestor mother altar and change the entire cosmos, exterminating our entire race. Our race wants to live too, so all of you can only die." Once again, Dongbua Shuang unleashed the black gourd. The venom-tailed girl and the 9 apex protectors still had a strand of hope in their hearts. They were gambling that Dongbua Shuang might not be able to unleash it again. But when the misty ripple engulfed them, they could only feel despair. The 9 apex protectors had dissipated in an instant. The venom-tailed girl's body was also being torn apart. Dongbua Shuang abruptly stopped the operating array within the black gourd. He plugged the cork and kept the black gourd. The venom-tailed girl who was covered in fresh blood stared at Dongbua Shuang in a daze. "Capture her," Dongbua Shuang said. "Right, capture her alive." Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction guffawed before charging forward. "Go!" Monarch Hex Cricket, Water Devil King, and the others were filled with fighting spirit. Mysterious North Imperial Empress also began activating her array. The paragons were also working together. The venom-tailed girl looked at everything. Her rapidly recovering face revealed a sneer. She let out an ear-piercing voice. "You want to capture her alive? Even if we die, it does not mean that we have lost the war. This cosmos will ultimately belong to us. It belongs to us." Hong! Her body suddenly exploded. Monarch Hex Cricket, Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, and the others who were charging at the front also acted to protect their comrades. Dongbua Shui Ying seemed illusory and real at the same time. He allowed the shock waves from the explosion to sweep over. He watched silently. These protectors from the ancestor mother religion had died, but they could not retreat because their entire race from the cultivator cosmos had to survive. Beautiful, beautiful. One side wins, and the other side dies. Guqian Luo's voice boomed across the world. It was filled with a strand of ridicule. Chapter 739. Dongbua Shui Ying and the rest had just collected the weapons and treasures left behind by the protectors. Because they were ownerless, everyone was searching for their own treasures. Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction's unique treasure naturally had to be returned to him. Some of the true god weapons were also returned to their original owners. As for the treasures that belonged to the ancestor mother religion, according to the plan, they would be checked by the rulers first. Amen. Hearing Guqian Luo's voice, Dongbua Shui Ying and the rest turned over. The enormous sculpture Guqian Luo overlooked the group of paragons. Even though none of you could last for 10 breaths of time in the red light region, since you have one, it should be easy for you to stay there for that short period of time. All the paragons were on high alert. Not just them. Even Bloodblade, Temporal Island Lord, and the other rulers outside, the primal chaos flying ship, had solemn expressions as they watched. This was the crucial moment. In the eyes of Bloodblade and the rest, this mysterious master of the primal chaos flying ship was similarly a huge variable. After all, even though the cultivators had won, the master of the primal chaos flying ship could easily kill all the paragons and take the initiative to help the ancestor mother religion. This person called Guqian Luo should have killed many. He isn't someone who is easy to talk to. Temporal Island Lord frowned. We have one. Without sufficient reason, he shouldn't go back on his words. Pang, he said. They were watching nervously, and the group of religious leaders from the ancestor mother religion might be feeling grief and indignation over the large-scale destruction of their protectors. But at this moment, they were even more nervous. They hoped that this Guqian Luo would have a breakdown in negotiations with the cultivators. Dongbua Shui Ying and the rest looked up at that towering sculpture of Guqian Luo. That cold and evil aura was constantly enveloping the surroundings. At the same time, they received a transmission from Bloodblade. Do not let your emotions affect your decisions. This primal chaos flying ship will have a huge impact on the final battle between us and the ancestor mother religion. We will inform you all of our decisions. All the paragons understood. It was better to leave the decision to the rulers. Guqian Luo's voice rumbled as he continued. You all belong to the same superpower. I believe none of you are willing to kill each other. I'm looking for a helper and not an enemy with a grudge. Therefore, I won't force you to make a move. How about this? I'll choose one of you. Don't worry. We'll swear an ancient oath that both of us will abide by. Just like I said before, if you help me, I'll help you. The one I choose will receive opportunities that will surpass your imagination, and your cultivation system will be even more powerful than the one you have right now. As long as I do my best to nurture them, even sovereigns will be able to rival hegemons. The supremacies present were either hesitant or expectant. An ancient vow? If Guqian Luo didn't resort to underhanded means, everyone would still be willing to take the risk. After all, it might be slightly dangerous, but it would also be a great opportunity. Which great fortuitous opportunity didn't have some setbacks and tribulations? It was simply a dream to think that he could easily get his hands on a fortuitous opportunity. Who should I choose? Guqian Luo swept his gaze across the venerables. Once you're chosen by me, I'll immediately give you some benefits that will greatly increase your strength. Some of the venerables were looking forward to it. They were willing to bet. Some of them have been stuck in the Exalt realm for a long time and couldn't see any hope of breaking through. They wanted to break through. Dongbua Shui Ying. Guqian Luo's gaze landed on Dongbua Shui Ying. Dongbua Shui Ying felt his heart tightening. The other paragons were also looking at Dongbua Shui Ying. Some felt helpless, but all of them were convinced. After all, Dongbua Shuiying had turned the tides of this war. He had contributed greatly and was also the most dazzling one. It was normal for Gu Qianluo to choose him. Unless he's going to choose Snow Eagle, the 10 rulers and the religious leaders were all paying close attention. The enormous sculpture Gu Qianluo looked down at Dongbua Shuiying. I can see the aura of your soul. You're extremely young, yet you possess such strength. You should be the one with the highest potential and comprehension ability amongst those present. The paragons present agreed. How long had they cultivated for? How long had Dongbua Shuiying cultivated for? Even without relying on the black gourd, he was still ranked at the forefront amongst the paragons. Choosing you as my helper is originally quite suitable, but it's a pity that you haven't transcended. The enormous sculpture Gu Qianluo shook his head. I'm going to choose a helper before leaving this cosmos with me and embarking on a long journey. You haven't transcended yet. If this cosmos epic ends and you still haven't transcended, all life within the river of time will be extinguished. You will die too. If you die halfway through my primal chaos flying ship, I'll be in deep trouble. No choice. Gu Qianluo turned to a beautiful girl. You're called Mysterious North Imperial Empress? Yes. Mysterious North Imperial Empress nodded. Your comprehension ability might be lacking, but you're the one most proficient in arrays. You transcended too. Come and be my helper. Gu Qianluo directly said. Mysterious North Imperial Empress hesitated slightly, because she was currently discussing with Bloodshed God Emperor in the dark. All right. Mysterious North Imperial Empress nodded. You have to guarantee my safety. Ha ha ha, rest assured. I've already said that I'll swear an ancient oath with you. After that, you'll understand that it's impossible for me to harm you. Gu Qianluo laughed out loud. He then swept his cold gaze across the other paragons. I've already chosen my helper. The rest of you can leave. Wang. An unseen ripple wrapped around Dongbua Shuiying, Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, and the other paragons. They were directly teleported out of the primal chaos flying ship. Only Mysterious North Imperial Empress and Gu Qianluo were left within the ship. Even though you want to help me, this is also a great opportunity for you. The edge of Gu Qianluo's mouth curled upwards. I'm rarely so benevolent. Dongbua Shuiying and the others were thrown out of the primal chaos flying ship. They felt the scenery before them changing. They were already in the starry sky outside. Not far away from them were Bloodblade and the other rulers. Fellow paragons, you've all contributed greatly to our cosmos. Bloodblade and the others flew over. The group of rulers revealed a joyous look. No matter what, the ancestor mother religion would definitely not be able to use the primal chaos flying ship. It's all thanks to Monarch Dongbo, Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction, was a proud person, yet he was polite at this moment. He had a smile on his face. Firstly, they had won. Secondly, he had gotten back his survival treasure. Naturally, he was happy. The other paragons were also praising him. Dongbua Shuiying added, I'm lucky too. I was able to comprehend it at the crucial moment. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to use it a few more times. Your luck is just SOSO. Primal Master laughed out loud. Brat, your performance this time is very dazzling. Your comprehension ability and potential are high too. Usually, when choosing a formidable helper, it's only natural to choose you. It's a pity that you haven't transcended. Because of this reason, that Gu Qianluo has given up on you. No matter if he's evil or not, his background seems extraordinary. If you follow him, your future will definitely be extraordinary. I also thought that I would have to choose Snow Eagle. Empress Qian, he chuckled. You actually rejected it because you haven't transcended? Bloody Ruler now also had a smile on his face. It's just that he was looking at Dongbua Shuiying with eyes that were filled with endless fury and killing intent. So many people he was familiar with and the Apex Protectors have been exterminated. Furthermore, the chances of their ancestor mother religion winning this war were very low. If it was possible, Bloody Ruler Nile wanted to directly kill this Dongbua Shuiying, but he did not dare to. Because Bloodblade and the others were by the side, He could only maintain a smile and praise Dongbua Shuang. Chapter 740. After teleporting Dongbua Shuang and the rest out of the primal chaos flying ship, the ship was completely sealed. Be it the rulers or the religious leaders, none of them could peek inside. The rulers and Dongbua Shuang were waiting in the starry sky outside. Dongbua, Paragon Huacheng looked at the primal chaos flying ship and transmitted, "Do you think that Gu Qianluo would do something underhanded?" Previously, he said that he would swear an oath to protect his helpers. Now that all of us have been chased out, leaving only mysterious North Imperial Empress inside, would he do something sinister to her? Hard to say. Dongbua Shuang was not confident. From his aura, Gu Qianluo was a cold and evil existence that had killed countless people. Furthermore, the other party had an extraordinary background. It was normal for him to be proficient in some unknown sinister methods. Bloodblade and the rest were waiting silently. After half an hour, only then did mysterious North Imperial Empress float out of the primal chaos flying ship. The 10 rulers and paragons went up to welcome her. The aura of this mysterious North Imperial Empress seems much stronger. Dongbua Shuang vaguely deduced that the body of mysterious North Imperial Empress had become stronger. Fellow rulers. Mysterious North Imperial Empress respectfully bowed. "Does that Gu Qianluo keep his promise?" Bloodblade asked. Mysterious North Imperial Empress nodded. "Don't move. Let me inspect your soul." Bloodblade extended his hand. Mysterious North Imperial Empress nodded. Even though she did not feel that she had been ambushed during the entire process, she was afraid that there might be some ambushes that she could not detect with her current realm. And Bloodblade was the current #1 expert in the cosmos. His strength was deep and unfathomable. It was not easy to evade his detection. Gu Qianluo had a formidable background, and Bloodblade similarly had some fortuitous encounters. Bloodshed God Emperor placed his palm on the shoulder of mysterious North Imperial Empress. An unseen energy directly permeated into her body. Mysterious North Imperial Empress did not obstruct it. This energy directly entered the consciousness of mysterious North Imperial Empress and examined her true deity heart. After a moment, only then did Bloodblade loosen his grip. The other rulers looked at him. The paragons, including the mysterious North Imperial Empress, also looked at God Emperor. Bloodblade smiled. That Gu Qianluo did leave some tricks on the mysterious North Divine Heart. However, it was used to protect the mysterious North Imperial Empress. Everyone was relieved. "Your Majesty, regarding the primal chaos flying ship." The mysterious North Imperial Empress was just about to speak. "In a moment, we can talk about in detail at the Bloodshed God Palace." Bloodblade immediately interrupted him. "Furthermore, we also need you to have a proper discussion with Gu Qianluo." Following that, the rulers proceeded to check through the treasures left behind by the protectors. But only that terrifying weapon was taken away by them. The rest were split amongst Dongbua Shuang and the others. That terrifying weapon required Dominator rank power to store up, and it could only be used once. In the hands of a hegemon, it could be used in battle at any time. In the hands of a venerable, it could only be used once. As for the other treasures, they were ordinary. This time, even though the ancestor mother religion had staked everything on this primal chaos flying ship, they knew that if they failed, they were not willing to leave behind treasures that were too good for the cultivators. Hence, the rewards were ordinary. Following that, everyone dispersed and returned to their respective locations. The rulers brought mysterious North Imperial Empress away. Black Fog Sea Monarch Residence. Within the courtyard, there was a thick layer of snow. After all, the battle in the primal chaos flying ship had only lasted for 2 days, and the thick layer of snow had not melted yet. Wine was currently being brewed on the table. Dongbua Shuang and Jing were seated opposite each other. They were currently chatting about what happened in the primal chaos flying ship. So such a huge matter has happened in just 2 days. Jing poured wine for Dongbua Shuang. At the same time, she sighed. "You're Qing Yao and I feel that our days of cultivation are ordinary, yet we do not know that there's a calamity looming over us. If you all lose this time, with the help of the primal chaos flying ship from the ancestor mother religion, we cultivators might really be defeated. Many sentient beings will be exterminated, and the weak like us might not be able to escape. Jing Qiu, I'll never allow such a thing to happen. Dongbo Shueing looked at his wife. Jing Qiu smiled. She felt sweet in her heart. She had always felt that reincarnating was the wisest decision she had ever made in her life. This matter involves two cosmoses, and the level is too high. I can only pour wine for you here. Jing Qiu said. Ha. I can only contribute this time. I'm not qualified to participate in the battle between rulers. Dongbo Shueing shook his head. Even though the black gourd was powerful, it was used to protect him. It could allow him to survive in front of powerful rulers. As for killing rulers, that was hopeless. The realms of the rulers were much higher than his. The moment the ancestor mother religion reached the religious leader level, there would be a qualitative change in their strength. They would be able to fight against the rulers on the side of the cultivators. We'll have to rely on teacher and the others for the ruler battle. Dongbo Shueing said, we'll have the help of the primal chaos flying ship in this battle. Our chances of winning should be 99%. That was what he said. Dongbo Shueing felt his heart tightening. The ancestor mother religion would definitely not give up. They would definitely engage in the most frenzied struggle. What if there was a huge reversal and they were defeated? Countless sentient beings would be exterminated. That scene made Dongbo Shueing tremble just thinking about it. Dongbo Shueing, after refining the black gourd, it's time for you to accept the Void Walker inheritance. The treasure spirit transmitted. Void Walker inheritance? Dongbo Shueing's eyes brightened. He then turned to his wife, who was drinking fruit wine with him. There's no rush. I'll accompany Jing Qiu first before setting off. Within the vast palace hall of the ancestor mother religion, the group of religious leaders were seated cross-legged. Their auras were grand and distant, yet the atmosphere here seemed to have solidified. After negotiations, Guqian Luo has agreed to help the cultivators. The incarnation of bloody ruler Niles said. He really agreed. Damn, the religious leaders felt as though they were facing a calamity. Even though they were all powerful, they felt as though they were suffocating. This feeling of impending death made them even more furious. Being able to reach their current realm, it was naturally impossible for them to be willing to die. They would rather die than risk it all. Who knew if a miracle might happen? It's all because of that Dongbo Shueing. He ruined the victory that was within our grasp. Otherwise, the primal chaos flying ship would have helped us. It's all because of him. So many protectors have died in his hands. They had emotions too. Those protectors who had lived for a long time had a deep relationship with them. Some are even like family. With so many massacres happening, they had long hated Dongbo Shueing to the bone. And this defeat might cause them to lose the final battle. That would mean the extermination of their entire race. That made them even more furious. Before the final battle, we must kill this Dongbo Shueing to vent our frustrations. If we don't vent our frustrations, it will be hard for us to calm down. A muscular man with dark yellow skin growled. Kill him, a cold black-armored girl said. Her only disciple had been killed by Dongbo Shueing using the black gourd. The fanged religious leader looked at the other religious leaders, nodding. His black gourd might be slightly clumsy, but its power is huge. Rulers do not dare to fight against it. In the hands of that Dongbo Shueing, it is only a minor threat. But in our hands, it can still be of some use during the war. Then let's find an opportunity to kill him once he leaves the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace and snatch the black gourd. Amen. Those present nodded. They could not act within the territory of the Bloodshed God Palace because the blood blade could instantly reach the place. Find out his location. The fanged religious leader ordered. Very soon, the news came, Dongbo Shueing's true body is still in the material realm. His avatar has disappeared without a trace, and the karma cannot be found. The news came. What? the karma disappeared again. The fanged religious leader and the others were startled. What they did not know was that Dongbua Shui Ying had already entered the inheritance ground of the Void Walker. Chapter 741. Within a courtyard covered in snow, Dongbua Shui Ying accompanied his wife as they drank fruit wine and chatted. He was enjoying and treasuring this tranquility because a war that would decide the fate of the entire cosmos would erupt soon. Jing Qiu, I have something to do. I'll be going out for a while. Dongbua Shui Ying stood up. Be careful. Jing Qiu stood up. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. Following that, he flew into the sky and tore open a time-space tunnel before disappearing. Jing Qiu looked up as the time-space tunnel in the sky closed up. Turning around, she disappeared into the cultivation room. She began cultivating. She wanted to transcend as soon as possible so that the gap between her and her husband would be smaller. Hoo. As Dongbua Shui Ying flew through the time-space tunnel, he remained vigilant. He was worried that the religious leaders from the Ancestor Mother religion would kill their way over. After all, a large number of protectors from the Ancestor Mother religion in the Primal Chaos flying ship had died in his hands. But even if they were to do it again, Dongbua Shui Ying would not be lenient, because the life forms in his cosmos had to live. His friends and loved ones had to live too. No matter how many enemies came, he had to kill them all. Dongbua Shui Ying, we are here. The black gourd treasure spirit transmitted. They did not come to kill me. Dongbua Shui Ying was slightly startled. He stopped and walked out of the time-space tunnel. It was a starry sky outside. According to the guidance of the treasure spirit, Dongbua Shui Ying flew through the starry sky. Gradually, the starry sky in front of him started distorting. The huge starry sky distorted, forming a tunnel. As he flew through this tunnel, he could feel the space constantly changing. Furthermore, this body of his could no longer sense karma. It was just like when he entered the starting ground previously, his karma had disappeared. The Void Walker is formidable. He could actually sever karma. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. According to the information I obtained previously, the starting ground was left behind by the creator of this cosmos. As for the inheritance ground left behind by the Void Walker, just this void tunnel alone was able to sever karma. The secret treasure of Heavenly Emperor of Great Destruction could also conceal karma. But this was different. With the help of that treasure, he could only hide the karma of the owner. As for the land of inheritance, the starting ground, this was a vast region that forcefully severed the karma of countless lives in the universe. This was completely different. On a vast gray land, a distorted void tunnel appeared. Dongbua Shui Ying landed on the ground, and the tunnel disappeared. We're here. The voice of the Black Gourd's artifact spirit rang out. We've arrived. Dongbua Shui Ying surveyed his surroundings. This gray land was boundless, and there seemed to be an endless amount of power hidden within. Although this power was deeply hidden, he could still sense it. Once it erupted, it would be even more terrifying than the sun and moon stars. Dongbua Shui Ying flipped his hand and took out the Black Gourd. There's nothing here. How am I supposed to receive the inheritance? The child with the red doo-doo appeared on the Black Gourd. The child looked around and giggled. Just sit down. All right, I'll listen to you. Dongbua Shui Ying placed the Black Gourd by the side. He then sat down cross-legged. The moment he sat on the gray land, he immediately felt a ripple coming from the depths of the land. It entered his sea of consciousness and tunneled into his true deity heart. This startled Dongbua Shui Ying. The true deity heart was the soul, and it was extremely important. True deities and avatars were connected by their souls. Illusory realm attacks and other techniques would affect the soul of the true deity. If the technique was strange and formidable enough, it was entirely possible to kill the true deity through the avatar's soul. Purgatory Great Commander's Purgatory Reincarnation was able to exterminate the avatars and true deities of the 6 ordinary protectors. Naturally, Dongbua Shui Ying was only startled. Thinking about the heaven-defying strength of the Void Walker, he relaxed. With such a huge gap in strength, it was too easy for the Void Walker to kill him. Wang, after this ripple entered his true deity heart, it rapidly spread out. His true deity heart was originally a smaller version of Dongbua Shueying. Its entire body was like colored glass, and there were many sharp edges revolving around it. It was just that there was a black aura spreading within. And at this moment, as the ripples seeped in, the black aura rapidly dissipated. It was like snow melting under the sunlight. Furthermore, this smaller version of Dongbua Shueying's body that was like colored glass had many gray strands appearing. These strands covered every single part of his body, forming a humanoid three-dimensional array diagram. First level of Walker's hidden secret ? Dongbua Shueying immediately sensed the information contained within. Void Walker. It was an extremely unique cultivation system. Like the ancestor mother religion system or the laws and profound mystery system, these were common cultivation systems. Many sentient beings could cultivate them. Even a mortal could cultivate to become a transcendent. Such a system was suitable for many sentient beings. Even though it was common, if one cultivated it to a profound level, one's strength would similarly be unfathomable. As for the Void Walker lineage, it was extremely difficult to cultivate it. One might not even be able to find a suitable cultivator in a cosmos. That senior Void Walker, the silver-haired, golden-horned man, had passed by this cosmos and discovered that this cosmos was created by forefather Tianyu. He also discovered that this cosmos had given birth to a monster like the Lake Heart Island Master. The silver-haired, golden-horned man had such foresight that he was astonished at the terrifying strength of the Lake Heart Island Master. Even though the Lake Heart Island Master had cultivated for a shorter period of time, he was just a step away from forefather Tianyu and the silver-haired, golden-horned man. He felt that the sentient beings in this cosmos had great potential. That was why he left behind this opportunity. As such, Dongbua Shueying passed through many trials and obtained this inheritance. The Walker's hidden secret had a total of 60 levels. Every 10 levels was a big level. It did not require the laws and profound mysteries. Just like the ancestor mother religion system, the protectors had lower realms and could fight with apex paragons and even heavenly emperor of great destruction. Even if his realm remained at the paragon realm, by relying on the Walker's hidden secret, Dongbua Shueying could reach a higher level. The 11th level of the Walker's hidden secret was equivalent to the ruler realm. By then, he could transcend. He did not need the laws and profound mysteries. By relying on the Void Walker system, he could similarly transcend. Naturally, this system had an extremely high threshold. It was hard to cultivate, but the moment he succeeded, he would become incredibly powerful. Even the information left behind by that silver-haired, golden-horned senior indicated that he had only cultivated to the 55th level despite his overwhelming strength. The first level. Dongbua Shueying closed his eyes. Currently, he only had the first level of the cultivation method. After all, he had not even reached the first level and was unable to accept the complete inheritance. Because that three-dimensional array diagram was within his true deity heart, he could easily sense it. When he sensed it with his mind, there were millions and millions of spatial obstructions. Even outside of this cultivator cosmos, the vast yet cold and lonely primal chaos void descended with power. This energy had existed for an unknown period of time. It seemed to have existed since the very beginning of time. It was ancient and cold, without any warmth. It did not seem to be harmful, but when it descended, it passed through the layers of obstructions and descended into this cosmos. When it arrived at the inheritance ground, it was greatly weakened. Even so, a gray energy appeared around Dongbua Shueying's body. This gray energy seemed cold and desolate, but it contained a terrifying, corrosive power. When it came into contact with Dongbua Shueying's body, even a myriad devil true body could not withstand it. His skin, muscles, tendons, and bones were rapidly corroded. Chapter 742. His body was being corroded, but his soul was unharmed. Just the pain of his body alone was something Shui Ying could ignore at his current level of cultivation. Even so, he still relied on this to feel this force, and he even used the mirage world to carefully observe it. However, even the mirage world was being corroded by this gray energy, extreme coldness, and other destructive energies. Donghua Shuang thought, this is after descending into the cosmos through layers of obstructions. It has already been greatly weakened. This energy, it originated from the primal chaos void outside the cosmos. That cold and desolate primal chaos void might seem harmless, but in reality, it contained all sorts of destructive energies. Just the extreme coldness alone was enough to freeze a ruler to death. Thus, rulers were unable to survive there. Once the epoch ended, they would be forced to leave the cosmos. Rulers would eventually turn into nothingness in the primal chaos void. Just like that Gu Qianluo, he relied on the primal chaos flying ship to travel through the primal chaos void. As for the Voidwalker lineage, they relied on the energy of the primal chaos void to cultivate. Stop! After sustaining heavy injuries, Donghua Shui immediately stopped cultivating. Without the guidance of the array diagram in his deity heart, the surrounding gray energy was immediately repelled by the cosmos. Such energy should not exist in the cosmos. His bones rapidly recovered, and so did his body. However, Donghua Shui was deep in thought. How is it? Does your initial cultivation feel good? The red undergarment child, sitting on the black gourd, shouted, I finally understand. No wonder it has such a high requirement on the body. If one's body isn't strong enough, they would be easily corroded by the descending primal chaos void energy. Donghua Shui sighed. No wonder it has such a high requirement on one's perception. Even though the Walker's hidden secret does not have any requirements on the laws and profound mysteries, just the first level of the array diagram is incomparably complex. It seems to contain the profound mysteries of space and matter. You can use your system to comprehend this array diagram. At the same time, you should forget about the laws and profound mysteries that you have grasped before trying to comprehend this array diagram. The red undergarment child said, these are two different systems. You can interact with each other, but you cannot use the old method. Donghua Shui was enlightened. He had found a dead end and wanted to completely dissect it. All right, I'll try again. Donghua Shui was not in a hurry to guide the chaotic void energy. Instead, he focused his attention on the countless gray threads in his true deity heart. Forget the laws of profound mysteries. The Tao of mirage, the Tao of slaughter, they were all thrown to the back of his mind. As he observed it, Donghua Shui gradually discovered the beauty of this formation diagram. After all, even though he had tossed all laws of profound mysteries to the back of his mind, the strength of his God heart would not change. His perception was also sufficiently high, so he could naturally discover the beauty of this array diagram. Then, he carefully comprehended this beauty. Gradually, Donghua Shui discovered that it was similar to the laws of heaven and earth, the Tao of mirage, and the Tao of slaughter. Any system would have similarities once it was thoroughly explored. This was also the reason why the protectors of the Ancestor Mother religion could rapidly reach the stage for world deity realm after coming into contact with the laws and profound mysteries. For instance, Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master and Bloody Ruler Nile had greater attainments after cultivating for a long time. Relying on the similarities, Donghua Shui gradually understood. After all, this was just the first level, and it was not difficult. It was the simplest and most fundamental array diagram of the Walker's hidden secret. I understand. Donghua Shui was completely enlightened. He felt joy in his heart, but he could not say it out loud. You are quite fast, comprehending it in just 2 years. The red undergarment child on the black gourd opened his eyes and chuckled. It has been more than 2 years. Donghua Shui shook his head. He did not feel the flow of time when he was cultivating. He immediately closed his eyes and focused on cultivating once more. Relying on the array diagram in his deity heart, he immediately guided the energy from the primal chaos void outside the cosmos to descend. That cold and lonely energy once again penetrated through the layers of obstructions and arrived by the side of Dongbua Shuang. The gray energy revolved around his body. This time, Dongbua Shuang began absorbing this energy for his own use. One could see the entire body of Dongbua Shuang forming an array diagram. The gray energy was guided, but the cold and corrosive energy remained untamed as it corroded Dongbua Shuang's body. His body borrowed the array diagram to absorb and transform this energy. At the same time, he suffered from the corrosive energy. It was just that the degree of damage was very light, and his body was rapidly recovering. It was constantly recovering, destroying, destroying, and his body was gradually becoming stronger and stronger as he cultivated. At the same time, some changes were happening to him. These were the changes that occurred naturally after absorbing the primal chaos void energy. It's too chaotic. Dongbua Shuang was slightly alarmed. This gray energy that had gone through many layers of weakening might seem pure, but actually contained a lot of chaotic and destructive energy. Some of the energy could still be absorbed, but some of the destructive energy was too strong to be absorbed. One could only rely on the array diagram to continuously refine them. Some of the energy would be expelled from his body, and some would gradually condense into a sharp edge. This was the edge formed by the condensation of the destructive energy. It was also an offensive technique that the Void Walkers possessed. In the Walkers' hidden secret, it was known as termination energy. Termination energy was formed by the condensation of the extremely destructive energy within the primal chaos void. Its offensive power was extremely strong, and when it covered a weapon, the might of the attack would be greatly increased. Even if one didn't use a weapon, the weapon formed by the termination energy was sufficiently strong. Another 2 months passed. Dongbua Shuang let out a long breath. Within his breath, a colorful light shot out from his mouth. Its might was extremely terrifying. This colorful light was something that the Walker's hidden secret was unable to refine. It could only be expelled from his body. I've finally mastered it. Dongbua Shuang revealed a smile. There was another difference between the Walker's hidden secret and the laws and profound mystery system. Even though he had comprehended the first level, he still had to slowly cultivate it. His body had to undergo a gradual process of improvement. The first level was relatively fast, but it still took him more than 2 months to completely master it. The stronger he became in the future, the longer his body would need to absorb the energy. The Void Walker lineage, they had very few techniques. The most famous one was the evasion technique. This lineage borrowed the power of the primal chaos void to cultivate. The primal chaos void was like their home, and their evasion techniques were naturally powerful. Another was their powerful body. Just from the first level alone, Dongbua Shuang's body was much stronger than the myriad demon true body. Clearly, the creator of the Void Walker lineage was much more brilliant than the ancestral demon. Lastly, they tempered the extreme destructive energy within the primal chaos void to form the termination energy. There were 3 main techniques. There was nothing else. Although they had very few techniques, every single one of them was very powerful. In addition, they had wandered through many universes, allowing them to cultivate other systems. Naturally, they were even more formidable. Haha, Dongbua Shuang, congratulations. You finally mastered it. You can finally receive the complete inheritance. The red undergarment child on the black gourd shouted, "Be careful. It's about to begin." Be careful? Dongbua Shuang was stunned. Rumble, following which, he felt the ground beneath his feet tremble. The entire gray land was trembling. Dongbua Shuang was shocked. He hurriedly grabbed the black gourd and flew up to evade it. The entire boundless gray land was trembling. However, as Dongbua Shuang flew away and even used the void evasion technique of the Void Walker lineage to increase the distance between them, he turned his head and looked at the gray land in a daze. In front of him, amidst the vast void, An incomparably huge, gray humanoid creature was currently sleeping in the void. Now, it slowly stood up and opened its eyes. Its body was incomparably huge, far surpassing any creature that Dongbua Ying had ever seen before. I was on the surface of his body just now. Dongbua Ying could not help but ask. Amen. The red undergarment child on the black gourd nodded. Whose body is this? Dongbua Ying was shocked. It's just an incarnation, the red undergarment child replied. Dongbua Ying stared at it in shock. The gray humanoid creature had already stood up. Looking at its appearance carefully, it looked very similar to the silver-haired, golden-horned man that he had seen previously. It opened its eyes. Those gray eyes looked at Dongbua Ying. It was simply too huge. Even its gray eyes were bigger than the sun star. The pressure from such a huge incarnation caused Dongbua Ying to hold his breath. With this level of strength, it was definitely possible for it to destroy the universe with a flip of its hand. This is a small universe space that I have opened in your universe, the gray humanoid creature said. After you receive the inheritance, it will collapse. Chapter 743. The gray humanoid suddenly turned silent. He only looked at Dongbua Ying attentively. With such a huge existence staring at him, Dongbua Ying felt slightly uncomfortable. Who would have thought that I, Guqi, would actually have a disciple? The gray humanoid said, the feeling of having a disciple is really weird. Guqi is my name. The incomparably huge gray humanoid continued. This is also my first time accepting a disciple, and I do not know how to teach one. You have the protective treasure, and in a while, you will obtain the complete Walker's hidden secret. After that, you will have to rely on yourself to cultivate it. But the cultivation system of your cosmos focuses on comprehending the laws and profound mysteries. Once you cultivate it to the later stages, your strength will become formidable. I suggest that you continue cultivating it. Don't give up on your original cultivation system. Dongbua Ying obediently nodded. Indeed, in terms of combat arts, their cultivation system was indeed strong. It was just that they were weaker in other aspects. For instance, their bodies were far weaker than the ancestor mother religion, much less the Void Walker lineage. Just by cultivating the first level of the Void Walker lineage, Walker's hidden secret, Dongbua Ying could feel his physical strength exploding. It was comparable to an apex protector. In addition to the advantage of comprehending the laws and profound mysteries, he could even fight against a holy protector. And this was just the first level. If he cultivated a few more levels, he might even be able to fight against a ruler at the Paragon realm. The Void Walker and laws and profound mystery systems were indeed complementary. In the future, when you discover other cultivation systems, you can use them as a reference. If you meet one that is suitable for you, you can cultivate it as well. The huge humanoid was slightly long-winded as he instructed. Cultivation systems are also created. Different systems will ultimately lead to the same destination. You can learn from the experiences of others. It will be of great help to you. I do not know much about teaching disciples, and I'm only giving you some suggestions. All right, your cosmos is created by that old man Tianyu. Hence, you are naturally of his faction. Currently, his faction is quite strong. With Tianyu and Lake Hard Island Sword Master overseeing it, you can rely on them in the future. It's much better than relying on a loner like me, the giant humanoid creature said with a smile. Dongbua Ying understood that the incarnation in front of him should be able to share memories with the original body. Therefore, Forefather Tianyu and Lake Heart Island Sword Master should be on the same level. Tianyu's faction is in the 7-star Oceanic Sacred World. The gray humanoid continued. Actually, old man Tianyu is also very concerned about you guys. He has also left behind some guidance. If you're strong enough, you will also receive guidance. He will guide you through the primal chaos void and head towards the distant 7-star Oceanic Sacred World. As for me, my hometown is another sacred world. I took part in a battle that engulfed the entire Saints world. The entire Saints world shattered into several pieces, and I fled into chaotic space with heavy injuries. Only when I was heavily injured did I sense that I might die at any time, which was why I decided to leave behind a legacy. Fortunately, I survived my weakened state and managed to keep my life. My temperament is erratic, and I wander around. In addition to the previous battle, I made a few enemies, so I don't dare to stay in the same place. So don't come looking for me. Furthermore, don't tell me that you are my disciple. Once this news is made public, I'm afraid you will lose your life. My few enemies are not any weaker than me. If you bring disaster to me, my only disciple will be gone. I will be sad, and not knowing when I will be able to accept another disciple. Also, the gray humanoid could not help but say, if you really want to know where I am, you can ask Tianyu and Lake Hard Island Swordmaster if you meet them in the future. They will know. All right, that's all. Kid, prepare to receive the legacy. The gray humanoid looked at Dongbua Shuiying and could not help but say, up till now, you haven't even addressed me as master, right? Although I didn't teach you much, and the walker's hidden secret wasn't created by me, I have still imparted the Tao to you. I have also imparted the Tao protection treasure to you. Dongbua Shuiying felt awkward. Previously, he had to go through the Master Recognition Black Gourd test. If he did not pass the test, he would not be qualified to receive the legacy. Therefore, Dongbua Shuiying had never thought of himself as this senior's disciple. Now that he had just refined the gourd and was here, his mentality had not changed yet. No matter what, this powerful Voidwalker Guqi, who had just accepted a disciple, had done him a great favor and was very concerned about his safety. Dongbua Shuiying willingly shouted, Disciple Dongbua Shuiying greets Master. You might have a few masters, but you are my only disciple. Remember, keep it a secret. Don't expose yourself. I, your master, am currently in quite a bit of trouble. I'm still wandering around and hiding. The gray humanoid smiled and instructed, following which his huge body gradually turned transparent. Countless densely packed silk threads appeared on his body. Countless silk threads formed this huge gray humanoid creature. Simply put, this gray humanoid creature was actually a gigantic array diagram. It was many times more complicated than the first level of the Walker's hidden secret. It was even more mysterious than the circulation of the material world, the sun star, and the moon star. This was left behind by the most ancient creator of the Voidwalker lineage. Even Guqi had only cultivated up to the 55th level. Because he had not cultivated to the pinnacle, he was unable to easily impart his Tao. He could only leave behind an incarnation that contained a trace of his soul. That soul contained the complete Walker's hidden secret. Only then could he impart his Tao. Boom! The huge gray humanoid creature instantly shrunk. Eventually, it turned into a stream of light and flew into the middle of Dongbua Shuiying's eyebrows. Wong! He could only feel his consciousness buzzing. Regardless of whether it was his main body or his incarnation, both of them instantly lost their consciousness. Nobody knew how long had passed. Dongbua Shuiying finally regained his consciousness. He immediately looked at his true deity heart. Currently, his true deity heart was like glass. The Walker's hidden secret had completely fused with every part of his true deity heart, making it hard for him to detect it. Currently, he only knew about the second level of the Walker's hidden secret. Once he mastered the first level, he would naturally know about the next level. This Walker's hidden secret was one with his soul. No one would be able to take it away from him. Amen. Dongbua Shuiying looked at the vast world around him in shock. The entire world was gradually collapsing. However, there was a force enveloping him, preventing him from getting hurt. It was as though a house was collapsing. This small-scale universe was collapsing. Cracks were forming, and the speed of the collapse was getting faster and faster. Finally, everything was destroyed. As for the protected Dongbua Shuiying, he didn't receive any impact at all. In front of him was a starry sky. I'm within the territory of the temporal island. Dongbua Shuiying sensed the karma and immediately confirmed his location. I didn't expect this Void Walker Master of mine to participate in a huge battle and cause the so-called sacred world to shatter into a few pieces. This level is indeed too far away from me. Dongbua Shuang sighed. Although they had only known each other for a short period of time, he had a good impression of this master of his. Ever since he started cultivating, his true disciples were Bloodblade, Sacred Master Crimson Dust, and this Void Walker Gu Qi. Naturally, after he became a transcendent, even though Qiu Qi Bai, Gong Yu, and Si Kong Yang had given him pointers, those were pointers given to a group of transcendents, including himself. It wasn't a true disciple, and among the three teachers, Bloodblade was unquestionably the closest to him. Void Walker Gu Qi was second. Even though he had only interacted with him for a short period of time, this person was the strongest but had no experience in teaching disciples. And Sacred Master Crimson Dust was the one who was the most distant from him. After all, when he entered the Crimson Rock Mountain, Sacred Master Crimson Dust had already died. Between cultivators, the relationship between a teacher and a disciple was extremely important. No matter what, this teacher is still very concerned about me. Furthermore, I am actually his first disciple. I wonder what the origins of his enemies are. He actually didn't allow me to reveal my relationship with him, afraid of implicating me. Dongbua Shuang shook his head. Everything was temporarily too far away from him. Within the vast palace hall of the ancestor mother religion, the fanged religious leader sat cross-legged by himself with his eyes closed. His heartbeat reverberated across the entire palace hall, causing it to reverberate faintly. Suddenly, religious leader Dongbua Shuang has appeared. He is currently within the territory of the Temporal Island. A message transmitted over. That resounding heartbeat abruptly disappeared. The fanged religious leader opened his eyes. They were filled with cold, killing intent. He has finally appeared. Chapter 744. Very soon, the 5 religious leaders arrived at the fanged religious leader. Dongbua Shuang has appeared. The fanged religious leader coldly said, "He is within the territory of the Temporal Island. Hence, we have to attack fast. If we are slightly slower, the Temporal Island Lord might arrive." In terms of time-space travel, the Temporal Island Lord is the most formidable. At the same time, even though Dongbua Shuang's black gourd is clumsy, its power is immense. The moment he reacts, he might retaliate with the black gourd, delaying us. Hence, we have to be fast. Before Dongbua Shuang can react, the attack will arrive, and he will die instantly. The fanged religious leader said. Rest assured, with the 5 religious leaders working together, even if he has the so-called Tao of Mirage and the myriad devil true body, he will still die. A black-armored female religious leader coldly said. We have already planned this out. He will die in an instant. These 5 religious leaders were filled with confidence. With their strength, the 5 of them could easily fight against Bloodblade. Even though Dongbua Shuang was formidable in survivability and could survive against rulers. But with the 5 of them working together, they had analyzed the information provided by Bloody Ruler Nile and felt that they could win. Then let's move. The fanged religious leader said. Go! Boo! The 5 religious leaders disappeared. Within the time-space tunnel, Dongbua Shuang was currently flying at high speed. Even though he cultivated the Walker's hidden secret, allowing his body to be compatible with the primal chaos void, making him proficient in the void maneuver, his speed was too fast. He would most likely arrive at the Black Fog Sea in a few moments. The moment this speed was revealed, it would incur the shock of the rulers and religious leaders. Now is not the time to reveal it. He had to save his formidable moves for the crucial moment. Amen? Dongbua Shuang suddenly frowned. The surrounding time-space tunnel distorted. A terrifying and strange, unseen attack descended soundlessly. It originated from an extremely majestic location. It was beyond the range of his perception. It descended very quickly. Even though Dongbua Shuang's life aura was exceptionally strong, it was weakened by his life aura when it descended. It still managed to pierce into Dongbua Shuang's true deity heart. Now, his true deity heart was like colored glass, and it contained the complete Walker's hidden secret. The Walker's hidden secret was an amazing secret technique. but at the same time, it was fused with one's soul and had many protections for it. Previously, due to the backlash from using the Black Gourd, just the first level of Walker's hidden secret was enough to melt the black mist. Now that he had the complete Walker's hidden secret, it could be said that it was extremely difficult to ambush a Void Walker in the aspect of the soul. Boom! His true deity heart quivered, and that invisible attack was dispersed. Donghua Shui Ying stared in shock at the distorted space-time tunnel in front of him and a sharp saber that appeared out of thin air. The saber was already right in front of his eyes. Moreover, there were surging green lightning bolts on the saber. These lightning bolts contained a terrifying destructive power that far surpassed the Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master's destructive lightning. At the same time, a strange green mist appeared in the surrounding space. The green mist had already reached his side. The attack was too fast. According to the original plan, Donghua Shui Ying should have instantly lost his consciousness after being cursed, and he would not be able to resist at all. But at this moment, Donghua Shui Ying was very clear-headed. Even if he was clear-headed, he would not have the time to take out the Black Gourd and pull out the cork. Because the weapon was already right in front of him, he did not even have the time to think. He could only rely on his instincts to survive. His body instantly disappeared. He entered the Mirage World. After entering the Mirage World, his body was still faintly illusory. This was the control a Void Walker had over the Void. What? I am actually unable to use the Void Evasion technique? Donghua Shui Ying was slightly startled. He originally wanted to teleport in a small area, but he discovered that he could not use the Void Evasion technique at all. For the sake of facing the Temporal Island Lord and Bloodshed God Emperor, the religious leaders of the Ancestor Mother religion had completely suppressed and solidified the surrounding space. It was possible that only the Temporal Island Lord who grasped the Tao of time-space could teleport. The other rulers could not do so, including the Bloodshed God Emperor whose Tao of Shadow was eternal. For instance, Donghua Shui Ying's Void Evasion technique originated from the Primal Chaos Void. It was indeed amazing, but he had just cultivated it to the first level. His control over the Void was still too weak. The sharp saber brought along the green lightning as it hacked into the Mirage World. Even after its power was reduced, it still hacked onto the body of Donghua Shui Ying. Hong Long Long. A terrifying power was exerted on his body. That green fog permeated into the Mirage World and wrapped around the body of Donghua Shui Ying. Nevertheless, the void form body of Donghua Shui Ying had dissipated most of the attack. Those who were not strong enough would not be able to touch the body of a Mirage Walker. Under the strike of the saber, Donghua Shui Ying was flung back at high speed. The black armor on his body had long been shattered. A huge wound appeared on his chest, and fresh blood spurted out from his mouth. What? The 5 religious leaders were all stunned. They worked together to attack. Yet they only injured Donghua Shui Ying? Teacher, I am being ambushed by the Ancestor Mother religion. There should be a few religious leaders. Donghua Shui Ying immediately transmitted a message to Bloodblade. It was not that he did not want to transmit a message, but that the ambush came too quickly. He did not even know how many enemies there were. He flipped his hand and took out the Black Gourd. He pulled out the cork and looked ahead with anger. Surrounding and killing me? A group of religious leaders surrounding and killing me? Die for me. Donghua Shui Ying grabbed the Black Gourd. At that moment, a black ripple rushed out from the mouth of the gourd. Under the control of Donghua Shui Ying, this ripple spread out in all directions with Donghua Shui Ying at the center. After all, after recognizing him as its master, he could control this black gourd as he wished. Countless black ripples engulfed the surrounding 50 million kilometers. Careful, not good. The religious leaders who were ambushing Shui Ying immediately suffered. According to what they knew, the attacks of this black gourd were relatively clumsy. It only aimed in a single direction. But this time, the ripples spread out in all directions. Quick! Under the help of one of the religious leaders who specialized in controlling space, They brought their comrades to evade and escape. Even though their bodies were stronger than the holy protectors, they were still injured by the Black Ripple. They did not dare to go against the Black Ripple, because the closer they got to the mouth of the Black Gourd, the more concentrated the Black Ripple would be, and the stronger its power would be. Instead, the further they were, the more scattered the Black Ripple would be, and the weaker its power would be. What is happening? The 5 sect masters were also only lightly injured. They were all a bit at a loss, not daring to believe what they were seeing. How could this sneak attack result like this? The killing curse did not work. Their combined attack could only injure Dongbua Shuang, unless this Dongbua Shui Ying survivability was comparable to Monarch Hex Cricket's. Hurry up and leave. The rulers will definitely arrive soon. The 5 religious leaders did not dare to hesitate. Dongbua Shui Ying held onto the Black Gourd. The Black Ripple spread out in all directions, tearing the surrounding void into particles. Everything around him was destroyed. Nothing could stop it. Snow Eagle. A voice transmitted over. I'll chase after them first. These ancestor mother religion religious leaders are truly daring. Bloodblade's furious voice transmitted over. He did not reveal himself. Instead, he chased after the 5 religious leaders. Amendment. Lastly, I'll say this softly. Actually, I want the monthly votes, star. Chapter 745. There was a bug in the previous chapter. Dongbua Shui Ying should have 3 teachers: Bloodblade, Voidwalker Gu Qi, and Sacred Master Crimson Dust. Sacred Master Crimson Dust had already died when Dongbua Shui Ying entered the Crimson Rock Mountain to become his disciple. Thus, he could only be considered a teacher in name, and had never guided him in his cultivation. As his teacher, Bloodblade chased after the religious leaders of the ancestor mother religion, Dongbua Shui Ying heaved a sigh of relief. With a thought, the ripples emitting from the Black Gourd stopped. He then stuffed the cork back into the gourd. It's fortunate that a group of religious leaders worked together to deal with me. Fortunately, I've cultivated the Walker's hidden secret. Otherwise, I would have died in a single move. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at his chest. The wound had already healed. The extreme annihilation, mysterious body armor on his body made him shake his head. The help of the armor is getting weaker and weaker. That time, I only obtained a soldier-ranked cultivation technique. With his strength, he might be able to obtain a captain-ranked cultivation technique if he went to the Destruction Eden. But Dongbua Shui Ying no longer cared. After cultivating the Walker's hidden secret, his body had become stronger than the myriad devil true body. The toughness of his skin was not any weaker than the extreme annihilation mysterious body armor. Shui Ying believed that after cultivating to the 5th or 6th level, the extreme annihilation mysterious body armor would become useless. His body started to turn illusory and translucent. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded inwardly. This was also a survival technique of the Voidwalker lineage. After cultivating it to a higher level, the enemy's weapon would only touch the void. It could not touch Dongbua Shui Ying's body at all. It's a pity that he was still at the 1st level, and he was still weak. If he just relied on the Voidwalker lineage, he would definitely not be able to resist against the joint attack of 5 religious leaders. Fortunately, he had the apex Tao of Mirage. Within the Mirage world, the enemy's attack might be able to forcefully penetrate through, but its power would be greatly reduced. This was the formidable aspect of the laws and profound mysteries. Even Gu Qi said that comprehending the laws and profound mystery system would make one extremely formidable to the later stages. Suddenly, an extremely terrifying fluctuation came from afar. Dongbua Shui Ying abruptly looked up. Teacher is fighting with those religious leaders? Xiao. Silently, he held the Black Gourd in his hand and quickly rushed over. He did not dare to move too quickly, so he gradually approached. He could not casually intervene in a battle of this level. The reason why he wanted to get close was that he had the ability to protect himself, and the Black Gourd might be able to help. Boom! Invisible waves swept out in all directions. One by one, The desolate stars trembled slightly before turning into dust and returning to nothingness. Among them, there was a star with life. There were many mortals and transcendents on it, and the strongest among them was a demigod transcendent. On the stars, there were babbling children, old people enjoying their old age, struggling young people, lovers in love, and cultivators adventuring and adventuring. None of them knew that a great crisis was coming. Buzz! A strand of remnant shockwave swept over. This was the remnant shockwave from the battle between the bloodshed god emperor and the 5 religious leaders of the ancestor mother religion. Even if they were far away, stage 1 or 2 world deities would instantly die, much less the beings on this planet. Set. Dongbui Shui Ying appeared in the starry sky beside the star with life. Just by looking at that unseen shockwave with his eyes, his willpower caused the starry sky in front of him to distort, easily dissipating the shockwave. After all, it was just a shockwave that was extremely far away. Currently, Dongbui Shui Ying could barely fight against rulers, and he could survive the attacks from the 5 religious leaders. The disturbance from the battle is huge. Dongbui Shui Ying thought. Snow Eagle, come over. A voice sounded. Dongbui Shui Ying immediately teleported over. He was already very close to the battlefield. The void was filled with particles. Currently, these particles were gradually regaining their calmness. The starry sky was also gradually returning to normal. There were no impurities, dust, or stars in the surroundings. The crimson-robed Bloodblade stood there. He was emitting a baleful aura that enveloped the surrounding void, causing it to be covered in a layer of blood. Seeing Dongbui Shui Ying's appearance and the surrounding baleful aura, Bloodblade reacted and retracted his aura. Teacher's aura is so terrifying. Dongbui Shui Ying mumbled inwardly. This was the first time his teacher revealed such a terrifying, baleful aura in front of him. Usually, he would restrain it. Not bad. Even with the 5 religious leaders working together, you're still able to preserve the life of this avatar. Bloodblade exclaimed with a smile. My combat power is slightly weaker, and I have to rely on the blackboard, but I am still confident in my survivability. Dongbui Shui Ying said. Perhaps their understanding of me is still too shallow. Bloodblade nodded. That's right. Your survival techniques must be kept a secret. The more the better. That way, you will have a higher chance of surviving in dangerous situations. The moment it is made public, the enemies will be able to set a trap against you. Even Bamboo Mountain is a traitor. Currently, we do not dare to trust our own people. Dongbui Shui Ying nodded too. The betrayal of Bamboo Mountain Prefecture Master had greatly stimulated the entire cultivator faction. Suddenly, a figure appeared by the side. It was the black-robed, black-haired, cold male, Temporal Island Lord. Temporal Island Lord looked around him. The surrounding starry sky changed unpredictably. The previous battle scenes flashed by almost instantaneously. Temporal Island Lord looked at Bloodblade. Bloodblade, these religious leaders are here to ambush your disciple? Why didn't you tell me that they are in my territory? Since they dared to ambush you in your territory, they must have made preparations to deal with you. Bloodblade said, and as long as they have a countermeasure, you will not be able to save Snow Eagle even if you face the ancestor mother religion alone. Temporal Island Lord frowned slightly, but he did not say anything. He knew too. He was unparalleled in the Tao of space-time, but he was clearly lacking in other aspects. You do have some skills. Temporal Island Lord looked at Dongbui Shui Ying. You are able to survive the ambush of 5 religious leaders. I specialize in survival. Dongbui Shui Ying chuckled. Ha ha, to be able to survive the ambush of 5 religious leaders. There should be no one in our cosmos who can deal with this disciple of mine. Bloodblade said. Temporal Island Lord looked at Bloodblade. Others might not be able to do it, but he felt that the current Bloodblade should be able to do it. He had fought with Bloodblade for so many years, but he was clear that the gap between them was huge. Furthermore, Bloodblade had created the Void Twin Extreme Array. He had already touched the threshold of a higher realm, and could be said to be half a step into it. In the past, he could still rely on his Tao of space-time to fight against Bloodblade. But now that Bloodblade was half a step into a higher realm, he didn't even have the will to fight anymore. Let alone him. Even Primal Master and Abyss Primogenitor didn't have the will to fight anymore. They felt that they would no longer be able to catch up to Bloodblade. Amen? Temporal Island Lord frowned as he looked into the distance. What's the matter? Bloodblade asked. You might be strong in other aspects, but in terms of space-time, I am the best. Temporal Island Lord said coldly, after which he took a step and appeared in the starry sky far away. Bloodblade and Dongbua Ying rushed over as well. Temporal Island Lord looked at the starry sky and frowned, after which he waved his hand. Selah. The starry sky in front of him was abruptly torn apart, revealing a pitch-black circular hole. This circular hole was roughly 100 meters in diameter. It was pitch black inside, and it seemed to lead to an unknown place. In the surroundings, there was even a gray fog rolling about. Cosmos Passageway? Bloodblade was startled. After your battle, the surroundings should be empty and calm. But no matter how I look at it, I feel that something is wrong. There really is a Cosmos Passageway here. Temporal Island Lord smiled coldly. Chapter 746. Temporal Island Lord looked at the pitch-black, circular hole in the starry sky in front of him. He casually said, it might be because the battle between Bloodshed and the 5 religious leaders was too huge that it affected time-space and formed this time-space tunnel. Or it might have been hidden here since a long time ago. It seems to be a small-scale cosmos tunnel. Bloodblade extended his right hand. His right hand expanded as he extended it into the cosmos tunnel. The moment his palm entered the tunnel, the surrounding dusky fog began trembling. An unseen energy was repelling it. It is similar to what I expected. Even true gods who have transcended cannot enter, Bloodblade said. At the same time, he turned to the confused Dongbua Ying and explained with a smile. The stronger one is, the greater the pressure on the cosmos tunnel. According to what I know, cosmos tunnels are usually split into 3 levels. The lowest level is like this one, and it must be a being who has yet to transcend. They're still within the river of time and are protected by the cosmos. The second level is where ordinary true gods and paragons can enter. The third level is also the highest level, and even rulers can enter. And this one in front of us is the lowest level. Bloodblade shook his head. Its value is limited. If it is a large-scale cosmos tunnel, it is still very precious. After all, it is rare for one to be able to go to another cosmos. Like me, Monarch Green, and Purgatory Ruler, we have all gone to other cosmos and had a huge breakthrough in our strength. Dongbua Ying nodded. Senior disciple, Brother Monarch Green, had gone to another cosmos before breaking through to become a ruler. According to the investigation of the Black Gourd Treasure Spirit, he should be ranked 3rd in the Cultivator Cosmos. Dongbua Ying, you have yet to transcend. You can go and try. Temporal Island Lord said. Right? Bloodblade added, you can go and try. But the war with the ancestor mother religion. Dongbua Ying could not help but ask. Temporal Island Lord shook his head. You should not participate in it. With your current strength, you might lose your life in a large-scale war. By then, it won't be a sneak attack by a few religious leaders. Instead, it will be the final battle of the entire ancestor mother religion. Bloodblade said, you can join, but just listen to my orders. Snow Eagle's Black Gourd will be of some help. The Temporal Island Lord was startled. He looked at the Bloodblade and curled his lips. Fine, he's your disciple. You decide. With that, the Temporal Island Lord disappeared. Bloodblade looked at Dongbua Ying, chuckling. If you wish to participate in the war with the religious leaders, you'll have to cultivate more. Every ruler has grasped a Tao at the eternal realm, and their Tao has become a law, forming a law domain. Their words are laws, and they're different from paragons in battle. You should have experienced a thing or two after being ambushed this time. The religious leaders from the ancestor mother religion are much more clumsy than us rulers. Understood. Dongbua Ying replied solemnly. Yes. Previously, when he was ambushed, by the time he discovered the enemy, The enemy's weapon was already in front of him. From the beginning to the end, he didn't even discover the enemy's true body. Naturally, it was also due to the other party working together to ambush him, but it also showed the gap in strength between them. Even if the other party wanted to ambush him, his mirage world could not discover the enemy. I can't be arrogant. With my current strength, I can barely wrestle with a ruler without relying on the Black Gourd, but I would still lose. Furthermore, it would be a war between races. Dongbua Shui Ying was inwardly startled. I'll send you back first to prevent the shameless ancestor mother religion from ambushing us again, Bloodblade said. At the same time, he constructed an array around him. The array enveloped and concealed the cosmos passage. This is the method to enter and exit the array. If the ancestor mother religion were to come here, I'll definitely discover them. Dongbua Shui Ying received the method to enter and exit the array through his communication treasure. Following that, Bloodblade brought Dongbua Shui Ying along and teleported through time-space. He first sent Dongbua Shui Ying back to the Black Fog Sea before returning to the Bloodshed God Palace. Within the vast palace hall of the ancestor mother religion, the fanged religious leader sat cross-legged looking at the 5 religious leaders who appeared in front of him. All 5 of them were injured, with the black-armored female religious leader suffering the heaviest injuries. There was a huge hole in her abdomen that penetrated through her body, though was currently healing. "Why are you in such a sorry state?" The fanged religious leader looked at them. "We met Bloodblade. He suddenly appeared and ambushed us, causing us to suffer some losses. Where's the Black Gourd?" Dongbua Shui Ying suffered from our joint ambush, yet he was only injured. He immediately used the Black Gourd, causing the 5 of us to suffer from the ripples from the Black Gourd. Our ambush did not kill him, and it is impossible for us to kill him within a short period. We were also worried that Bloodblade would wait for the rulers to arrive before retreating. Nevertheless, Bloodblade still chased after us. The religious leaders felt sullen. The 5 of them worked together to kill an opening realm brat, yet they could not kill him. The fanged religious leader turned silent. He did not ask any further. Since they failed, it meant that Dongbua Shui Ying's survival capabilities were much more formidable than what was reported in the intelligence reports. "Then let's take a rest," the fanged religious leader nonchalantly said. "This time, we dealt with Dongbua Shui Ying for 2 reasons. Firstly, to vent our anger, and secondly, to get that Black Gourd. Even though the Black Gourd has its uses, it doesn't matter if we don't get it. Now that our ancestor mother religion has been exposed, and the cultivator cosmos knows of our goal, there is no need for us to hide anymore. Let's make full use of our time. Before Bloodblade's Void Twin Extreme Array discovers us, we must frantically gather resources and prepare for the final battle." Amen. The 5 religious leaders nodded. Previously, they were afraid of being exposed. Now that they had fallen out with the other party, they naturally had to frantically gather resources. Let's do our best. With the endless accumulation of our cosmos, and with all the religious leaders risking their lives, we have a chance of reversing the situation. We will kill all the rulers and win the war. We will erect the ancestor mother altar, and from then on, this cosmos will belong to us. The eyes of the fanged religious leader were burning with madness. Let's wait for the final battle. The 5 religious leaders were also burning with fighting spirit. Bloodshed God Palace, within the wooden courtyard. Primal Master, Abyss Primogenitor, and Bloodblade were all here. The ancestor mother religion is becoming more and more ruthless. They are too lazy to conceal their actions. Primal Master frowned. In the past, they have been gathering resources in the dark. I'm afraid they will become even more unbridled in the future. The Bloodshed Tavern and Temporal Temple are both gathering resources. Furthermore, they are monitoring the entire cosmos. The moment they discover anyone wantonly gathering resources, they will immediately investigate. If they discover any traitors, they will be captured alive. If not, they will be killed. Bloodblade coldly said. Abyss Primogenitor said with a grand voice, "Bloodblade, your avatar technique has been learned by Primal and I. Who are you planning to impart it to next? Bloodblade pondered. He said, we have to discuss this properly. Honestly speaking, with Bamboo Mountain appearing amongst the paragons, I am also worried that there will be traitors amongst the rulers. Primal and Primogenitor, the two of you are the most ancient rulers. It is impossible for you to be traitors. That time, the ancestor mother religion has yet to invade. But I'm not 100% confident of dealing with some rulers. Abyss Primogenitor nodded. In terms of cultivation time, I am the earliest in our Dark Abyss, followed by Purgatory ruler. I have a good relationship with Purgatory, and I have watched him rise step by step. I trust him. And finally, there's Bloody Ruler Nile. Nile is the youngest and has the best relationship with you, Bloodblade. Pang, it is also impossible for him to be a traitor. He is one of the fierce five of the deity world. In terms of cultivation time, he is close to me. Primal Master said, Empress Qian, he is definitely not a problem. I still trust Temporal Island Lord. Myriad God Palace Head has cultivated quite early too. Instead, it is Monarch Green, your eldest disciple Monarch Green. His personality seems to have changed greatly. But he should not be a traitor. If he was, he would have easily helped the ancestor mother religion obtain the primal chaos flying ship when he was still a paragon. For what you said, it seems there are no suspicions. Abyss Primogenitor asked, how many ancestor mother religion have reincarnated? How hard is it to cultivate to the ruler realm? Bloodblade said, there are two possibilities. 1, there are no traitors. 2, if there's a traitor, then it is Bloody Ruler Nile. As for Monarch Green, I trust him a lot, and I have already imparted the avatar technique to him. You suspect Nile? Primal and Abyss Primogenitor were startled. Right? Bloodblade nodded. He then chuckled. It is good for us to have a traitor. We can make use of him to make the ancestor mother religion suffer a huge loss. Even though the war was about to erupt, but the cultivators were clearly very confident. The primal chaos flying ship was a killing move. Bloodblade's avatar technique was similarly a killing move. By relying on the avatar technique and Bloodblade's Cosmos Stoneheart to cultivate, every ruler could have 3 bodies. This allowed the overall combat power of the cultivator rulers to soar. The ancestor mother religion and the cultivators were both preparing for the final battle. The moment it began, it would determine the fate of the entire cosmos. And Dongbua, Ying returned to the Black Fog Sea to accompany his wife. Jing Xiao and her husband walked by the lake. It is a rare opportunity to go to another cosmos. Furthermore, you have said that we are going to war with the ancestor mother religion soon. It is naturally better for you to be stronger. This is a small-scaled cosmos passage. I'll go over first and scout the path. I'll bring you along when the time comes. Dongbua Shuang said. I'll bring Qing Yao and Yura too. Jing Xiao said. Amen, let's go together. Dongbua Shuang chuckled. He would naturally not forget about his family when he had such an opportunity. All right, it's time for me to go. We can't waste any time now. Dongbua Shuang said. Be careful. Jing Xiao said. Rest assured. Dongbua Shuang chuckled before flying into the sky. He tore through the time-space passage and left. But Dongbua Shuang was not in a rush to leave. Instead, he returned to the material realm Xia people's world. He left behind the Black Gourd, the starting ground talisman, the blood serpent spear, and other important treasures. He only brought along some commonly used items. Even his weapon was a violet wooden spear he obtained from the protector of the ancestor mother religion. It was originally the weapon of an apex protector from the ancestor mother religion. Even though it could not compare to the blood serpent spear, it was sufficiently tough and sharp. He did not dare to bring anything too precious. After all, everything in the other cosmos was unknown. He was afraid of dying there and losing his important treasures. Ooh, there was silence in the starry sky. Dongbua Shuang turned into a stream of light as he easily penetrated through the arrays constructed by Bloodblade. Soon, he saw that pitch-black cosmos passage. There was a gray fog rolling around the entrance of the cosmos passage. Let's go in and have a look. Dongbua Shuang was filled with anticipation. He followed suit and flew towards the entrance of the Cosmos Passage. End of this chapter, asterisk, asterisk. Chapter 747. Dusky fog was rolling within the pitch-black 100-meter-wide hole. As Dongbua Shuang flew in, he felt a warm energy caressing him. He had an epiphany. This is the operating law of the cosmos? He had yet to transcend. He was a life form within the river of time, and the operating law of the cosmos would definitely protect him. Xiao, as he flew within the hole, everything in front of him was pitch black. Occasionally, there would be a distorted, colorful light. The distortion of space-time made Dongbua Shuang feel uncomfortable. Within the Cosmos Passage, his perception of time was distorted. Every moment felt long, yet it felt like a long time. It felt like a short time. Amidst the strange distortion, Dongbua Shuang finally saw a light coming from the end of the Cosmos Passage. Furthermore, an unseen law energy began enveloping him. Different from the cultivator cosmos, this was the operating law of another cosmos. Mn. Dongbua Shuang was slightly startled. Before setting off, his teacher Bloodblade had transmitted a set of intelligence to him. It was a simple and crude piece of general knowledge regarding entering other cosmos. Most people would be rejected after entering another cosmos. They might not even be able to absorb the world energy. And some cosmos would reject outsiders to the extreme. They might even lead the life forms in their own cosmos to surround and kill the outsiders. According to what Guqian Luo said, the ancestor mother religion cosmos is extremely xenophobic. The moment they occupy our cosmos, not only will we be unable to absorb any energy, we will also have nowhere to hide. We will be constantly surrounded. According to the intelligence I've gathered, there are fewer xenophobic cosmoses. Most of them would simply reject outsiders, preventing them from absorbing world energy. According to legends, there are cosmoses that do not reject outsiders. The intelligence provided by Bloodblade was not much, but Dongbua Shuang had firmly remembered it in his heart. His cosmos? Just by feeling the operating law of another cosmos enveloping him, Dongbua Shuang could feel an unseen acceptance. There was no rejection at all. I brought many deity crystals with me. I'm just afraid I can't absorb world energy. Dongbua Shuang could not help but sigh. From the looks of it, the universe that I've arrived at is very tolerant of outsiders. Even if he really couldn't absorb it, Dongbua Shuang wasn't worried. This was because apart from bringing a large number of god crystals with him, he mainly relied on the walker's hidden secret and the laws of mysteries that he had comprehended. When cultivating the walker's hidden secret, it guided the power of the primal chaos void to descend and absorb and refine it. No matter which universe it was, it could guide the power of the primal chaos void. This was not a power that belonged to the universe. Phew! Dongbua Shuang flew out of the pitch black hole. This was his first time coming to another universe. Instinctively, he retracted all his aura and hid in the mirage world. The Void Walkers were born with the ability to conceal their aura. Their bodies were like the void, without a trace of aura. It was even more powerful than the Bloodshed Tavern Master's robe. There really is life. Dongbua Shuang immediately discovered other life forms. This was a starry sky. On a barren planet in the starry sky, there was a palace that stood in a desolate desert. Within the palace, there was a burly man drinking wine by himself. However, his gaze was fixed on a relatively hidden pitch black hole that was only 100 meters in diameter in the distant starry sky. The burly man's body was covered in black scales, and there were spikes on his elbows and knees. His face was dark red, and his head was covered with black scales. There was a long-tailed maid serving him by the side. He was drinking alone while observing the distant universe passage. This universe passage appeared not long ago. It is a small-scale universe passage. There should be life forms from other universes entering soon. The black-scaled, muscular man muttered. Could it be that they have not discovered this universe passage? Let's wait a little longer. This universe passage appeared near my territory, and I was the first to discover it. This is my luck. If the life forms from other universes are special, they might be able to sell for a high price. The black-scaled, muscular man waited patiently. Amen? Within the mirage world, Shuang looked at that desolate planet in the distant starry sky. Even though the palace on that desolate planet seemed to be invisible, it could not be hidden from the probing of the mirage world. It could not be hidden from his current perception of the void either. Other than a group of attendants at the deity and world deity realm, the strongest person in the palace should be a true god. A true god. Dongbua Shuang frowned. The other party should not have discovered him. Most likely, the other party was weaker than him. I wonder how his comprehension of the laws of profound mysteries is, and if he can withstand my illusory realm. Dongbua Shuang did not dare to act recklessly. After all, this was another universe, and he was an outsider. Under such a situation, he had to be extremely cautious. He could not afford to make a mistake. What? Dongbua Shuang suddenly froze. He could no longer care about the true god who was waiting for his prey in the distant starry sky. At this moment, Dongbua Shuang's heart was filled with waves of shock. This. Dongbua Shuang was tongue-tied. The time flow of this universe. Through the connection of his soul, he could sense his true body. His true body was in his hometown universe, and he was currently in this universe comparing the time flow. 3,566 times? Dongbua Shuang muttered. A day in my hometown universe is 10 years in this universe. Dongbua Shuang did not dare believe it. How could the time flow of the two universes be so different? Equipment spirit. The white-robed Dongbua Shuang, who was in his hometown, immediately asked the blackboard. Equipment spirit, is there a huge difference in the time flow of the two universes? Dongbua Shuang asked. The blackboard's equipment spirit had followed Voidwalker Guqi for a period of time, so it was much more knowledgeable. There's a huge difference between the two universes, and it is even possible that the laws of operation are completely different. However, as for the time flow, because all the universes exist in the primal chaos void, they are all affected by the primal chaos void. The difference in the flow of time is usually not big. The flow of time in your home universe is considered to be a relatively normal flow of time. The other universes usually have a time flow of 10 times slower than your hometown universe. Some are slower than yours. Some are faster. Within 10 times? But the time flow of this universe that I entered is 3,566 times faster than my hometown universe. What? More than 3,000 times? What's wrong? Dongbua Shuang asked. Some universes are born naturally from the primal chaos void, and some are created by terrifying existences. Those who can create universes are usually existences at the level of Forefather Tian Yu and Voidwalker Guqi. The blackboard's equipment spirit explained. If it is a universe that is specially created, the universe's appearance is completely determined by the creator. But to maintain such a fast time flow of a cosmos is also an unfathomable and troublesome matter. The blackboard equipment spirit continued. No matter what, we can confirm that this cosmos that you entered was created by an ancient existence. He purposely sped up the time flow. I understand. Dongbua Shuang thought. After understanding some information from the blackboard equipment spirit, Dongbua Shuang became more vigilant. A powerful existence similar to Forefather Tian Yu and Guqi had created a cosmos and was willing to pay the price to maintain such a fast time flow. This cosmos was definitely extraordinary. It was better for him to remain low profile. Of course, knowing that the time flow was more than 3,000 times faster still made him happy. Just this time flow made his journey to this cosmos worthwhile. He could make use of this time flow to properly cultivate. Originally, the war between the ancestor mother religion and the cultivators was fast, but by relying on this cosmos time flow, he should be able to increase his strength by a huge amount. I have to hurry and find someone weaker and control him through the illusory realm to understand the general situation of this cosmos. South, Donghua Shuang teleported and disappeared. And that black-scaled, muscular man in the palace on the desolate planet was still staring silently at his prey. He did not know that Donghua Shuang had long left. Chapter 748. Donghua Shuang teleported time and time again and discovered a few life planets. He even flipped through the memories of a deity. With his current realm, he was able to avoid harming the other party in the slightest when flipping through the memories of a deity. South Donghua Shuang appeared in the starry sky, looking at a huge planet in the distance. This universe, what exactly is going on? Donghua Shuang felt even more puzzled as he flipped through the memories. There is a stage 3-world deity existence on this planet. His strength is higher, and he should know more. Donghua Shuang looked at the huge planet in front of him. This planet had a diameter of about 5 million kilometers and was considered big among the countless planets. There were a few palaces on it, and the races of this universe live there as well. There are only about 10,000 races here. Donghua Shuang shook his head. Previously, he had discovered many life planets, and the races living on them were few in number. The smallest ones only had a few tens of races, and the largest ones only had a few hundred. This planet in front of him had a stage 3-world deity existence, and the number of races living there was only about 10,000. However, there was one thing. Even a newborn baby was a transcendent. Who? Donghua Shuang disappeared, entering the planet. On this planet, there was a group of children wearing underpants flying at high speed. They would occasionally play around in midair and occasionally laugh out loud. Pong! One of the children sent another flying over 10 kilometers away with a single kick. He even shouted, "Haha, are you not full yet? You don't have any strength at all." However, at this moment, another child came over with lightning speed and launched a sneak attack. The few children were in a mess, and their movements were as fast as lightning. If a demigod transcendent from the Xia people's world were here, they would most likely be trampled by these children. At this moment, the planet's strongest expert, a green-scaled man, was chatting casually with an elder in green-scaled armor. They looked rather similar. They both had green scales, and there were spikes on their backs. Both of them had golden eyes. Second brother. The green-scaled old man said in a low voice, "It won't be long before I die. This time, I came to see you, second brother, in hopes that you can take care of the children of my clan." "Brother, it's not the end yet. It's entirely possible for you to awaken your bloodline again," the green-scaled man said. "You're the only one left among my brothers. Don't give up so easily." "I know. My body is already old." Just as he finished speaking, he felt a chill run down his spine. Suddenly, an invisible illusion descended. The green-scaled man and the old man immediately fell into a deep slumber. A black-robed young man walked in. It was Donghua Shuang. He walked to the green-scaled man and said, "Tell me, who is the strongest existence in this universe? Don't say their names, they'll know." "The strongest are the 3 great emperors," the green-scaled man murmured as if he was dreaming. "Great sovereign?" Donghua Shuang's eyes lit up. Previously, when he flipped through the memories of the little deity, his understanding of the true gods was just bits and pieces. "Are the great sovereigns true gods?" Donghua Shuang asked. What he was most concerned about was whether the pinnacle of strength in this universe was within the realm of true gods. "The great sovereigns are above the true gods," the green-scaled man continued. Donghua Shuang's heart twitched. He felt an invisible pressure pressing down on him, and he continued asking. In another starry sky far away in this universe, on a beautiful and auspicious planet, a figure soared into the sky. It was a man with a vigorous aura, and his entire body was covered in green-scaled armor. Although he wore a simple silver armor, the scales on his exposed arms were covered in mysterious patterns. His eyes were emitting a faint golden light. "My descendant, why is his life form so strange?" This silver-armored man waved his hand, and a streamlined battleship appeared beside him. He took a step forward and entered the battleship. Sila, the battleship tore open a space-time tunnel as it advanced at a rapid speed. At this moment, Dongbo Shuiying was still asking for information. The more he understood, the more shocked he became. This stage, three-world deity existence clearly had some understanding of the entire universe. It's actually like this. Dongbo Shuiying completely understood. In this universe, one relied on bloodline awakening to increase their strength. It was a little like the primordial bloodline awakening of the Xia people's world. After a long period of reproduction, almost all the ordinary life forms at the bottom of this universe had a bloodline of the highest level. Thus, they all had the potential to awaken their bloodlines to an extremely high level. Among them, the father was extremely powerful. Usually, the second generation of children would have a thicker and stronger bloodline. The third and fourth generation would continuously weaken. A powerful expert would form a powerful clan. In this universe, the clans formed their power. The strongest were the three great Emperor-class clans. Next were the King-class clans. After them were the true God clans. Any lower? They were not worth mentioning. The three great Emperor-class clans were, because each of them had a great emperor. Great emperor surpassed the realm of rulers, and had even broken through the realm of true God, reaching an even higher level. With the large amount of information Dongbo Shuiying obtained from the Voidwalker inheritance, the realm above true God was Void God. This was a publicly acknowledged title because reaching this level would allow one to travel in the primal chaos void with his fleshy body. Three great void gods. King-class existences were true god rulers, and there should be many of them. True god clans had true gods, and the number of true gods should be more than 10,000. Heavens! The overall strength of this cosmos is dozens to 100 times stronger than our cosmos. Dongbo Shuiying was startled. His cosmos did not have a single void god, yet here there were three. They rarely cultivated and preferred to battle. During battle, it was easier for their bloodline to awaken. Every time they awakened their bloodline, their strength would greatly increase. Dongbo Shuiying told all these to the Black Gourd Treasure Spirit, asking for his opinion. Bloodline cultivation system? The Treasure Spirit was startled. A cosmos with such a cultivation system has a huge background. It isn't good to offend them. Oh, Dongbo Shuiying felt puzzled. It is very difficult to awaken one's bloodline. The Treasure Spirit said. Dongbo Shuiying nodded. That's right. He had spent quite a lot of effort to awaken his primordial bloodline. The majority of living beings in this cosmos were only at the transcendent level. Even though there were more than 10,000 who could become true gods, there were still very few of them compared to the billions of people in the cosmos. One had to know that there were several hundred powerful existences in the cultivator cosmos. But the bloodline must have an origin. The Treasure Spirit said, the bloodline of the origin is extremely formidable, and only the descendants have a chance of awakening it. Just like your Xia people's world, primordial life forms had once been born. Because there were primordial life forms, only then would there be primordial bloodlines. And for bloodlines to become the cultivation system of the entire cosmos, to the point of giving birth to void gods, then the origin of this bloodline must be a terrifying existence. The Treasure Spirit said, I suspect that it is their primogenitor who created this cosmos. Thus, the countless life forms in this cosmos have a strong background. Behind them is their primogenitor, and for the cosmos to maintain a time flow of 3,000 times faster than normal, it should be their primogenitor, hoping to give birth to more powerful descendants. The Treasure Spirit said. Dongbo Shuiying nodded as he listened. Bloodline cultivation system. Just like his own bloodline, his descendants were relatively formidable. But it was hard for them to form a cosmos race and form a huge bloodline cultivation system. And the primogenitor of this cosmos race had done it. The bloodline cultivation system is slightly easier to break through as compared to your laws and profound mystery system. But this system has a huge weakness. It is very hard to reach the primogenitor level. The treasure spirit explained, but according to what I see, their primogenitor is very terrifying. Thus, even if one cultivates to a level close to the primogenitor level, it is already very powerful. Asterisk, asterisk. Chapter 749. While Donghua Shuang was inquiring about the situation through the illusory realm, a battleship had already arrived in the starry space outside this planet. Within the battleship, a silver-armored man with green scales all over his body was coldly looking at the scene within the battleship. Within the scene, Donghua Shuang was currently inquiring about the situation. A life formed from a foreign cosmos? What audacity to actually dare to act against a descendant of me, Shan Dan. This man's golden eyes were filled with coldness. However, he still habitually checked the strength of the other party first. Wong. A formless ripple swept over from the battleship, flitting past that planet. What? The silver-armored, green-scaled man was initially cold. But at this moment, his expression changed. Judging from the aura of the soul, it's at the Paragon realm. This battleship was bestowed to him by the highness he followed. It was extremely proficient in traversing through space-time and checking the aura of the soul. Although it wasn't as heaven-defying as the Black Gourd's equipment spirit, it was still able to check the strength of the other party's soul. But at the very least, it could determine the rough strength of the other party. I didn't expect to meet a foreign race expert on a random trip. Moreover, he's even at the Paragon realm. The silver-armored, green-scaled man nodded slightly. Wang and Donghua Shuang, who was originally inquiring about the situation and conversing with the equipment spirit through his original body in his homeworld, felt a formless ripple sweeping past him. This ripple was extremely weak, but regardless of whether it was the Mirage world or his control over the void, they were all able to detect it. Amen. Donghua Ying's expression changed. He could not help but turn his head. His gaze pierced through the walls of the hall he was in and saw the battleship in the starry space. In fact, his gaze even pierced through the void and saw the silver-armored, green-scaled man within the battleship. The two of them stared at each other from afar. This foreign race brother is truly vigilant. To think that you could actually discover me. A voice rang out. The silver-armored, green-scaled man had already appeared in this hall. From your appearance, you shouldn't be one of the life forms from the 8 great cosmoses that my race conquered, right? Donghua Ying looked at the other party. Just now, he had already understood quite a bit of information. He also knew that this universe, as a bloodline cultivation system, was very warlike. In fact, this cosmos would often form cosmos passageways. Using these cosmos passageways, the juggernauts had already conquered the other 8 cosmos. In order to conquer a cosmos, one had to have a cosmos passageway of the highest grade. Only those who had not transcended could enter and exit a cosmos like the one Donghua Shuang had used. Clearly, it was impossible to send an army to conquer it. Naturally, even though they had conquered 8 cosmoses, they were much better off in the Ancestor Mother religion. They would treat the living beings in the original universe well, just letting their people go to other universes to reproduce. They would even treat the alien races the same as the experts of their own race. My name is Donghua Shuang. This is my first time in this universe. Donghua Shuang said, I'm Shan Dan. The silver-armored, green-scaled man glanced at the 2 descendants who had fallen into an illusion. They can be considered the ancestors of these 2 little fellows. They are my bloodline descendants. Donghua Shuang felt a little awkward. The illusory realm he executed just happened to deal with the other party's descendants. Haha, you might not know, but we are able to sense our bloodline descendants at all times. Naturally, we will pay attention to those who are stronger. The silver-armored, green-scaled male said, I only rushed over because I sensed that something is wrong with my descendants. I'm ashamed. This is my first time here, and I know nothing. That's why I used such a method. Donghua Shuang said. At the same time, he kept his illusory realm. The 2 bloodline descendants immediately woke up from their slumber. They looked at the two newcomers with shock, especially when they saw the silver-armored, green-scaled male. They immediately stood up, shouting excitedly and crazily, "Patriarch!" The bloodline in their bodies allowed them to understand that the person in front of them was the ancestor of their clan. The creator of a clan, the strongest expert, the patriarch, Shandan. Amen. The silver-armored, green-scaled male nodded indifferently. "I'm here to meet a good friend of mine. The two of you can continue with your matters. Brother Dong, shall we talk outside?" Shandan was relatively polite. "All right, but Brother Shandan, it's better if you call me Dongbua." Dongbua, Shui Ying mumbled inwardly. Brother Dong? This was the first time he heard such a form of address. So. The two of them soon arrived in the starry sky outside. "Ha ha, Dongbua, you've just arrived in our cosmos, so you might not understand much. But you should know of the 3 great emperor clans, right? They're the 3 void god clans." Shandan said. "I've just heard of it." Dongbua Shuang said. "I'm currently working for one of the 3 great emperor clans, the Jiao Yun clan." Shandan said, "Great Emperor Jiao Yun has 3 children, and they are the 3 majesties. Their bloodlines are extraordinary, and their potential is great. Coupled with their noble status, they can command large amounts of resources. Many experts are willing to follow their majesties. I'm currently following the 3rd majesty, Jiao Yun Lu." Dongbua Shuang nodded as he heard that. He could guess it too. In the bloodline cultivation system, the children of void gods would naturally have a noble status. In addition to the relationship between father and son, they would also focus on nurturing their children. The treasures and resources that void gods have would far surpass one's imagination if they were to give it to their children. You should know that our cosmos loves to fight, and the weak are prey to the strong. The strong live, and the weak die. Shandan said, "Fighting is cruel. Even the majesties will fight and kill each other. As long as the true body's life isn't threatened, the void god emperors will not interfere." Dongbua Shuang listened. He knew that even though this Shandan was polite to him, the competition in this cosmos was cruel. But although this universe was tolerant, the competition was very cruel. The weak were prey to the strong. They looked down on the weak and respected the strong. They would even use the weak to buy and sell, and watch them kill each other for fun. Even the majesties high up had many setbacks. After all, no matter how noble their bloodline was, they had to undergo tempering and awakening. That is why His 3rd Highness is also recruiting protectors. Shandan said, "Dongbua, you have the strength of a paragon and can totally join under His Highness. What are the benefits?" Dongbua Shuang directly asked, "What do I have to pay?" He came to this cosmos precisely to increase his strength. Benefits that most people can't get can be easily bestowed to you by His Highness. Shandan said, "His Highness still places great importance on his protectors. As for what you have to pay, it's nothing much. His Highness will arrange a place for you to stay, and you just have to cultivate. Most of the time, only when you meet with trouble or danger would the protectors have to act to protect His Highness. His Highness is currently at the Paragon realm. At this realm, it is rare for him to meet with danger." Shandan said, "The last time he met with trouble was more than 1 billion years ago. Can I obtain the cultivation techniques from other cosmos?" Dongbua Shuang asked. "Ha ha, that is the easiest." Shandan laughed. "There are plenty of them. All right, I can give it a try." Dongbua Shuang nodded. "Let's go." Shandan was very happy. He was very clear that among the 3 highnesses in the Jiaoyan family, the 2nd highness had already become a ruler. As the 1st highness was the first to be born, he received the most benefits. Although he was only at the Paragon realm, he had many experts following him. He was much stronger than the 3rd highness. Even within the Jiaoyan family, the 3rd highness was at a disadvantage. Therefore, he was in urgent need of manpower. Paragons were already an important combat power. Who? Shandan brought Dongbua Shuang with him on the battleship and departed. What a fast speed! Dongbua Shuang was shocked by the battleship. Although it is not as fast as my void tunneling technique, it is at least 10 times faster than a true God Paragon space-time travel. Look, Shan Dan pointed in front of them passionately. Through the battleship, they could see a yellow planet in the distance. The Third Highness is cultivating in seclusion here. Many of his protectors are temporarily staying on this planet to protect him. I have already told the Highness about you. Let's hurry and meet the Highness. Having said that, he kept the battleship and brought Shui Ying along as they flew toward the earthen yellow planet. Chapter 750. Hidden deep underground, the Third Highness, Jiao Yunlu, was looking at a black plant in front of him. This black plant had a total of 3 dark green fruits growing on it. Hurry up and ripen. I have waited for too long. Jiao Yunlu had a rather delicate appearance. Scarlet scales covered his entire body, and there was a dark red scale between his eyebrows. His face was rather fair, and his entire aura was reserved and gentle. At this moment, his gaze landed on the black plant, and there was a hint of desire in his eyes. Your Highness, the fruits are still far from ripening. The 3 of us will be in charge of taking care of them. You can rest assured. A black-skinned man with vertical eyes laughed. He was also from a different race and came from another cosmos. However, he was a trusted aide of the Third Highness. Beside him were 2 other experts. Your Highness, Shan Dan said that a foreign race paragon called Dongbua Shui Ying will be arriving soon, said a guard behind Jiao Yunlu. All right, let's go. Jiao Yunlu nodded and left with his guards. Although they were underground, there were many ancient spirit arrays around them. The security was extremely tight. Jiao Yunlu looked at these spirit arrays and nodded his head. Although he knew that the fruits were still far from ripening, he could not help but come to take a look. He was afraid that an accident would happen. He had to personally see that the fruits were still growing before he could be at ease. Although he lived on the surface, and even the spirit arrays were controlled by him, he still came to check time and time again. When the fruits ripen, my strength will increase greatly. I might even be able to awaken my bloodline and step into the ruler realm. I might even be conferred the title of king. Jiao Yunlu's eyes flashed with a hint of sharpness. Jiao Yunlu and his guards quickly arrived on the surface. Under the lead of another clone of Shan Dan, they went to welcome him. This is brother Dongbua Shui Ying. Jiao Yunlu smiled. Shui Ying had just arrived on this planet when he met the Third Highness, who had brought a group of protectors to personally welcome him. Shan Dan's true body reminded him, this is the Third Highness. Greetings, Third Highness. Dongbua Shui Ying bowed slightly. I've been recruiting guards all this while. I'm glad that brother Dongbua Shui Ying is willing to join us. However, I like to see how strong you are, Guard Dongbua. What do you think? The third prince, Jiao Yunlu, said. After all, even among supremacies, there were strong and weak ones. He had to at least have a rough understanding of the guards around him. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. Anytime. Then, Protector Tsong, come and fight with Protector Dongbo, Third Prince Jiao Yunlu said. All right. A dark-skinned, tall, and muscular man walked out from the group of guards. His entire body was made of metal, and he was not a fleshly life form. Dongbua Shui Ying understood that the person in front of him was also a member of a different race. After all, this universe was based on the bloodline cultivation system. Naturally, everyone here was made up of flesh and blood. From what he had heard from Shan Dan, the Third Prince's guards consisted of 15 from this universe and 5 from the foreign races. If he were to join, he would be the 6th. Let's fight in the void. Protector Tsong's voice was deep and resounding. With a single step, he appeared in the starry space. Shui Ying followed along into the starry sky. The 2 of them faced each other. Let's begin. Below, the Third Prince and the group of guards all raised their heads. With their vision, they could see everything clearly. Oh, Protector Tsong suddenly roared. He spat out a white light wave from his mouth. In an instant, it appeared in front of Dongbua Shui Ying. The guards below watched silently. They were clear that this was one of the killing moves of Protector Tsong's universe's cultivation system. The ripples were nurtured within his body, and it was extremely powerful. Most of them did not dare to face it head-on. They felt that just this move alone would cause that Dongbua Shui Ying to expend a lot of energy. He might even be defeated. Who? The light wave passed through Dongbua Shui Ying's body and disappeared into the distant starry space. As for Dongbua Shui Ying, he was completely unharmed. Amen. In the distance, Protector Tsong was startled. The eyes of the third prince brightened. The other protectors were also startled. He actually faced it head-on without any injuries. It was as if his body was void. It's my turn now. Dongbua Shui Ying chuckled. He displayed the Mirage World technique. Although he looked like he was standing there, he had already entered the Mirage World. Even though the other party's attack had slightly affected his Mirage World, he could easily resist it with his body. He did not even need to move a single step. Dongbua Shui Ying flipped his hand, causing a dart to appear. This dart was also a spoil of war obtained from the protectors of the ancestor and mother religion. There were a total of 12 darts in this set, and they were formed from strange bones. Even though they were not true god weapons, they were not any weaker than true god weapons in terms of toughness and sharpness. Actually, most of the weapons used by the ancestor mother religion were more primitive weapons like cudgels, sabers, and swords. But most of them could clash head-on with true god weapons. Xiao. The dart was thrown out, disappearing without a trace. It had already reached the enemy through the Mirage World. Amen? Where's the dart? Where is it? That protector, Tsong, widened his metallic eyes as he looked around. He was on high alert, but following that, his expression changed. The dart had already reached his chest. Oh, he did not have the time to defend. This attack that contained a portion of Dongbua Shui Ying's powerful physical strength and the Tao of Slaughter had reached the enemy through the Mirage World. The enemy could not even defend against it. A loud boom reverberated. A huge hole had been pierced through Protector Tsong's chest. Protector Tsong looked down in a daze before turning back. The dart that attacked him had already disappeared. I've lost. Protector Tsong muttered. He was clear that he would not be able to withstand that dart even if he were to use it again. Brother Dongbua is formidable. I'm ashamed of my inferiority. Protector Tsong's body is extraordinary too. This attack of mine has only pierced through a hole. Dongbua Shui Ying said. He originally planned to heavily injure the other party, leaving him with a chance of survival. But who would have thought that after barely piercing through the other party's chest, the power of the dart would be depleted? The other party's body was clearly extremely tough. The third prince, Jiao Yunlu, was very enthusiastic. Protector Donbua's strength is extraordinary. However, I don't think that Protector Dongbua has any good weapons. He doesn't even have a true god weapon. Does Protector Dongbua specialize in darts? No, it's a spear. Dongbua Shui Ying said. Spear. Jiao Yunlu nodded. I do have a spear here. I stole it from the treasury that my father forged. As he spoke, he waved his hand. A set of black robes and a silvery white spear appeared in front of him. There was even a gray warship beside them. The warship's design was extremely similar to the one Shan Dan controlled. Dongbua Shui Ying was startled. Accept it. Every protector has one, Jiao Yunlu said. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately accepted it. As he did so, he could feel the terrifying sharpness contained within the silvery white spear. In terms of sharpness, it seemed to be above the blood serpent spear. However, the forging method of this spear was different from the blood serpent spear and other true god weapons. It did not contain the Tao of the eternal realm or the Tao of the opening realm. Instead, it contained layers of ancient and complicated arrays. Is this a true god weapon forged from another system? Dongbua Shui Ying thought to himself. Old Ancestor Tian, you had left behind a large number of weapons at the starting ground. Old Ancestor Tian, you was the ancestor of their cultivator universe. He also cultivated the laws and profound mystery system. Naturally, his weapons were of the same system. Different cultivation systems would usually have completely different weapon forging methods. However, the might of the weapons would not necessarily be weak. For example, his black gourd relied on that terrifying void array to easily control an existence on the level of the sun star. A true god weapon could not compare to it. I heard from Shan Dan that you want techniques from another cultivation system. The third prince, Jiao Yunlu, laughed. I'm very curious. I want to see if they can be of any help to my cultivation Dongbua Shuang replied. Ha ha, this is very normal. Every cultivation system has its own uniqueness. The third prince, Jiao Yin Lu, flipped his hand, and pieces of crystals appeared. These crystals contain a large number of techniques from the cultivation systems of the 18 cosmoses. Some of them are similar. Some of them are completely different. As he spoke, he passed the crystals to Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang was shocked. Cultivation systems from the 18 cosmoses? That's right. Although this cosmos had conquered 8 cosmoses, there were still other small cosmos passageways and medium cosmos passageways that connected to other cosmoses. It was possible to obtain techniques from the cultivation systems there. If you have any needs, feel free to look for me. The third prince, Jiao Yinlu, laughed. The only thing I can help you with is these external resources. Dongbua Shuang held onto the crystals and sensed the vast amount of information within them. They represented the various cosmos civilizations, and he sighed inwardly. What I need your help with are these external resources. Thank you, third prince. Dongbua Shuang was in extremely good mood. If he were to rely on himself to collect the cultivation systems, he would most likely not be able to match up to the number of techniques the Void God clan possessed. Chapter 751. Let's go. The banquet has already been prepared. The Third Highness, Jiao Yinlu, spoke. The surrounding guards also headed to the banquet. After the display of his abilities, the attitude of these guards towards Dongbua Shuang was much better. Dongbua Shuang also attended the banquet and enjoyed the delicacies of the other cosmos. This cosmos was also filled with flesh and blood life forms, so the food was quite appetizing. As for the metallic protector Tsong, who fought with Dongbua Shuang, he only drank a few mouthfuls of wine. He did not touch the delicacies at all. After the banquet, Lord Dongbua, this is your cave dwelling. A servant specially sent Dongbua Shuang over. At the entrance of the cave dwelling, there was also a group of servants welcoming Dongbua Shuang. Greetings, master. The large group of servants were incomparably respectful. They knew that from today onwards, their lives belonged to this powerful alien in front of them. Even if they were killed in a fit of anger, they would have died in vain. Dongbua Shuang swept his gaze across them. The strongest of these servants was only a stage 2 world deity, while the majority of them were deities. I need to cultivate. Do not disturb me if there's nothing important. Dongbua Shuang instructed. Yes. The group of servants heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, this was someone who loved to cultivate. This time, he would probably cultivate for a very long time. The huge door of the cultivation hall within the cave dwelling closed with a rumble. Dongbua Shuang waved his hand, causing a black ring to land on the table. His body disappeared into thin air, entering the world within the black ring. This was a grassland. On the grassland, Dongbua Shuang sat cross-legged as he inspected the weapons, robes, battleships, and other items given by the Third Highness. This caused Dongbua Shuang to nod his head. This spear is not any less valuable than my blood serpent spear. The battleship is similarly valuable. The black robes seem ordinary, but they are extremely tough and can conceal one's aura. These 3 treasures are enough to cause the majority of paragons in our cosmos to covet them. From this point, it was clear that there were many more treasures in this cosmos. Cultivation system. With a flip of his hand, that piece of crystal appeared. Shui Ying's eyes were blazing with passion. This was what he desired the most. Any cultivation system was the crystallization of the wisdom of countless beings in the universe. It was their way of becoming powerful. The cultivation system of the 18 cosmoses. Let's begin. Dongbua Shuang calmed his heart and allowed his consciousness to seep into the crystal without any interference. In an instant, a large amount of information was transmitted to him. The vast cultivation system was even accompanied by a large number of techniques and explanations. It should be an explanation recorded by the experts of the universe where the Third Highness came from. Although the bloodline cultivation system mainly relied on the awakening of the bloodline, they were no fools. They would also absorb the advantages of the cultivation systems of other universes to strengthen themselves. Time passed. Even with the strength of Dongbua Shui Ying's soul, it still took him 3 whole days to go through all 18 cultivation systems. I see. Because after looking through all 18 cultivation systems, he would naturally compare them and come to a conclusion. There are 2 types of cosmos. One is the cosmos that was born naturally, and the other is the cosmos that was created by ancient existences. Dongbua Shuang thought. Thus, the cultivation system is mainly divided into 2 types. The first type is the guidance left behind by ancient existences. This type of cultivation system is destined to be a broad great Tao, allowing one to cultivate to an extremely high level. The second type is in those cosmos that were born naturally. Without any guidance, those beings that were born could only fumble around by themselves. For the sake of survival, for the sake of becoming stronger, for the sake of longevity, they pondered over different cultivation methods. Gradually, the most formidable and most suitable cultivation method became the mainstream of the cultivation of the entire cosmos. Over the long years, it was continuously perfected by countless beings. But no matter how perfect it would still be limited by the scope and strength of the individual. Dongbua Shui Ying rejoiced inwardly. The cultivation system of his hometown was guided by forefather Tianyu. The laws and profound mystery system was a great Tao that reached the pinnacle. There is actually a cultivation system of the ancestor mother religion within these 18 cultivation systems. Dongbua Shui Ying finally understood how the ancestor mother religion cultivated. The ancestor mother religion. They treated the world as an embryo and themselves as the infant, using the world to nurture themselves. Once they were strong enough, they would use the cosmos as an embryo to nurture themselves. Such a system required the establishment of the ancestor mother altar to transform the cosmos. They did not believe in the world or the cosmos. Instead, they believed in an incomparably majestic existence, the ancestor mother. The ancestor mother was like a mother, protecting them, nurturing them, allowing them to become stronger, and allowing them to display all sorts of unfathomable abilities. This system was relatively clumsy in the early stages, but the further one went, the stranger it became. Even if they entered the primal chaos void in the future, they could still rely on the primal chaos void to nurture themselves. All sorts of abilities and cultivation techniques were recorded, causing Dongbua Shui Ying's expression to change. It is a very formidable system. Dongbua Shui Ying's true body in his hometown immediately transmitted a large amount of information to his teacher, Bloodblade. Bloodblade was startled. Snow Eagle, you went to the ancestor mother religion cosmos? No, it is a very powerful cosmos. This cosmos has many cultivation systems, of which the ancestor mother religion is included. Many cultivation systems? Then you have to be careful. Being greedy isn't a good thing. I understand. When Dongbua Shui Ying received the Walker's hidden secret inheritance, he knew that some cultivation systems were completely different from each other. They were not suitable for dual cultivation. Only by helping each other would it be a good thing. According to his teacher, Voidwalker Gu Qi, the Voidwalker system and the laws and profound mystery system were quite compatible. One cultivated the body, and the other cultivated the laws and profound mysteries. After understanding the various cultivation systems, Dongbua Shui Ying began attempting to cultivate them. Of the 18 systems, he could only attempt to cultivate 8 of them. The other systems had all sorts of problems, like the bloodline cultivation system. Dongbua Shui Ying was not a life form from this cosmos. He did not have their bloodline, and naturally, he could not cultivate them. The life forms from the cosmos were Protector Tsong came from all had metallic bodies, and they mainly cultivated their bodies. But the fleshy life forms cultivated their bodies differently, and naturally, they could not cultivate them. The weaker the ancestor mother religion was, the harsher its requirements for its environment. Dongbua Shui Ying could not cultivate them either. Only by truly cultivating them can I understand how mysterious they are. Dongbo Shui Ying began attempting to cultivate the 8 cultivation systems. He was prepared to spend 1,000 years on each of the 8 cultivation systems. With his comprehension ability, 1,000 years was sufficient for him to comprehend a cultivation system thoroughly and understand its essence. These 8 cultivation systems, according to the explanation within the crystal, 2 of them could be cultivated to the pinnacle. The other 6 had flaws. Those who could cultivate to the pinnacle were called witches. They researched the myriad existences, seeking the deepest secrets within them. Using these secrets, the witches could become very powerful. The cosmos where the witches came from, and the cosmos where the third prince and the others came from merely had a small-scale passage. But the witches were extremely enthusiastic and willing to take out their own cultivation systems to exchange. They were curious towards the myriad existences, including the myriad existences in other cosmos. The other was called the strongest warrior cultivation system. They could use their cultivation to transform their own bodies. What seemed like an ordinary drop of blood could be treated as a planet for research. They could even treat a particle as a continent for research and reconstruct. As they cultivated, they would be able to delve deeper into the microscopic aspect of their bodies. Following that, they would be able to transform their bodies even further. Their goal in cultivation was to make their bodies as powerful as a cosmos. They were forever chasing after the pinnacle. They did not require weapons because their bodies were their strongest weapons. Eating and digesting weapons was an easy task. They did not require armor. Their skin was incomparably tough. Dongbo Shui Ying even suspected that the strongest world deity he met at the starting ground might have cultivated the strongest warrior cultivation system. After all, the other party had eaten his flying knife, true god weapon, and in just a short moment, the flying knife had become tattered. His digestive ability was terrifying. They are indeed the 2 cultivation systems that have reached the pinnacle. Dongbo Shui Ying admitted that these 2 cultivation systems were formidable. However, these 2 cultivation systems required a large amount of time and effort. Researching the myriad existences was actually much more complicated than comprehending the laws and profound mysteries. The strongest warrior cultivation system, when it came to body research, was not as simple as a cosmos. As for the other 6 flawed cultivation systems, in the 5,000 years of cultivation, Dongbo Shui Ying was in a state of ecstasy. Chapter 752. This was a flawed cultivation system known as the Cosmos Emissary Cultivation System. For the sake of survival, strength, and all sorts of desires, the countless life forms in their universe continuously perfected this cultivation system. When this cultivation system was weak, it could communicate with the heaven and earth and borrow the energy of the heaven and earth to fight. It could also use the energy of the heaven and earth to strengthen itself. When it was strong, it could communicate with the origin of the universe. It could continuously strengthen itself and even control a portion of the origin of the universe. With a wave of its hand, it could control the origin energy of the universe. Its combat power was extremely terrifying. Eventually, in this universe, there would be a terrifying existence who would fuse with the origin of the universe. His own would be the will of the universe. Within the universe, he would be invincible. However, this cultivation system would end once it reached this level, because after fusing with the universe would be like a cage trapping him. He would never be able to leave this universe. As for the other cosmos emissaries, because one of them had already fused with the origin of the universe, the other emissaries could no longer fuse with it. Unless they changed to another cultivation system, they would never be able to improve. Their universe was extremely powerful. However, the flaw was very obvious. Within their own universe, they were incomparably powerful. However, the moment they left their own universe, it would be impossible. In other universes, they would not be able to use the origin energy of the universe. Their combat power would drop drastically. There was another problem with this cultivation system. For example, Forefather Tian Yu, or the primogenitor of the bloodline cultivation system universe, they would always protect the origin of the universe. Therefore, the origin of a universe that they created would not be able to be controlled or fused with. On the plains, Dongbua Shuiying sat cross-legged and cultivated. Dongbua Shuiying's cultivation was extremely high, and his body was extremely strong. After comprehending this cultivation system for 100 years, he successfully communicated with the origin of the universe. Rumble, the slaughter energy of the universe's origin directly descended, landing around Dongbua Shuiying's body. This is too great. Dongbua Shuiying's heart was filled with joy. I originally did not care about this cultivation system, as I felt that its flaws were too obvious. However, from the looks of it, I have still underestimated it. Any cultivation system that can become a cultivation system of a universe is extremely impressive. How can comprehending the laws of profound mysteries compare to experiencing the descent of the universe's origin energy? Dongbua Shuiying was pleasantly surprised. According to the rules, the most common laws of heaven and earth in the mortal world were the most basic. There were even higher laws, such as the entire material world's laws, the Dark Abyss laws, the Lake Hard Island's operating array, the Sun Star, the Moon Star's laws. These laws were all of a very high level. At the highest level were the operating rules of a universe. Allowing the origin energy of a universe to descend upon one's body was the most direct way of probing the operating laws of the universe. It was extremely beneficial to his cultivation of the laws. Currently, Dongbua Shuiying was mainly cultivating the Tao of Mirage and Tao of Slaughter. Thus, he was the first to attempt to allow the slaughter energy of the universe's origin source to descend first. Just sensing isn't enough. I still have to cultivate their techniques. Dark Ripple Technique. Shuiying began cultivating the slaughter-related cultivation techniques passed down in that cosmos. From the crystallization of his heart's blood and sweat, he was able to experience the comprehension of the life forms in that cosmos towards slaughter. Every single cultivation technique was about controlling the slaughter energy of the cosmos origin. As he truly cultivated them, Dongbua Shuiying's understanding towards slaughter became deeper and deeper. In his hometown, how many people had opened up the Tao of Slaughter? And in the Cosmos Emissary System, there were many who chose to cultivate the slaughter energy of the universe's origin source. They pursued strength and were naturally willing to choose slaughter. As a result, there were many killing techniques. Slaughter. In the past, my thinking was too shallow. Dongbua Shuiying was completely immersed in his cultivation. Every day, he could feel that his understanding towards slaughter was increasing. Along the way, he even thickened his skin to pay a visit to the Third Highness, asking him to help him gather the Tao of Slaughter techniques and absolute arts of the Cosmos Emissary System. The Third Highness immediately agreed and contacted his clan, requesting for the cultivation techniques and absolute arts of the Cosmos Emissary System. Third Highness, this system has no future. At most, it can only be used to sense the strength of the universe's origin source. The upper echelons of the clan were somewhat dissatisfied. They even berated, "You should train yourself more and fight more. As long as your bloodline awakens, your strength will increase greatly." I understand. I'm just using it as a reference. Uncle Fu, I'll have to trouble you to quickly gather it and send it to me. The Third Highness instructed. All right. Half a month later, there were only 2 more normal cultivation techniques, but 8 absolute arts were brought over. His Third Highness gave all of them to Dongbua Shuiying. This made Dongbua Shuiying sigh inwardly. No matter what, this Third Highness was really attentive towards his guards. He cultivated the slaughter energy origin technique and absolute arts one by one. He did not care about anything else. The only thing he cared about was his understanding towards slaughter. In just 1,000,000 years, his Tao of slaughter had already reached the peak. Of course, other than comprehending the other systems. As for the more important walker's hidden secret, he did not let his guard down. This was also the reason why he hid in the grotto heaven to cultivate. Every time he cultivated the walker's hidden secret, he would mobilize the chaotic void energy. If he was discovered, he would be in trouble. In terms of strength, the walker's hidden secret was above the other systems. After all, it was difficult to find an inheritor in an entire universe. Time flowed by. Because the flow of time was 3,000 times faster than his hometown, less than 10,000 years had passed in his hometown universe, but 30 million years had passed in the Devil Mountain cosmos. Very good. That's great. In the depths of the planet where Dongbua Shui Ying was cultivating, the Third Highness, Jiao Yunlu, was looking at the black plant in front of him with a fanatical gaze. The 3 fruits on the black plant had already turned black. They looked very ordinary and did not seem special at all. Suddenly, the leaves of the black plant started to wither. Congratulations, Your Highness. Now that the Black Devil's sacred fruits have ripened, Your Highness will definitely be able to break through and become a ruler. There were a total of 4 guards by the side, and all of them were extremely excited. Haha, once I become a ruler, things will be completely different. Jiao Yunlu could not hide the smile on his face. He stretched out his hand, and the spirit array protecting the black plant naturally dissipated. He placed his hand under the 3 fruits. As the leaves continued to wither, finally, with a plop, the 3 black fruits fell to the ground and landed in Jiao Yunlu's hands. Jiao Yunlu revealed a look of joy. He took out a golden bottle and placed the 3 black fruits into it. Got it. The third prince, Jiao Yunlu, held onto the golden bottle, and his eyes flickered with a sharp glint. He had been cultivating and laying low for many years. For the sake of his black demon saint fruit, he had sacrificed too much. Now it was finally ripe. It's time for me to make a comeback, Jiao Yunlu muttered, after which he turned and walked out. Let's go. He couldn't wait. He was going to start cultivating now. Chapter 753. It has been 30 million years. On a mountain peak, Dongbua Shui Ying stood there. He was overlooking this vast Eden world. There were no sentient beings in this Eden world. This was deliberately chosen by Dongbua Shui Ying. After all, the power of his walker's hidden secret was too great. Just a slight ripple from it could wipe out countless sentient beings. However, after 30 million years of cultivation, Lin Fan could now control the walker's hidden secret perfectly. He would not allow the chaos void energy to affect his surroundings at all. My current strength has far surpassed that of the 3 holy protectors and heavenly emperor of great destruction. During the final battle between my cultivator cosmos and the ancestor mother religion, I should not be a hindrance, right? Dongbua Shui Ying thought. 30 million years was too long. Before coming to the Devil Mountain cosmos, he had cultivated for just 10 million years before reaching that level of attainment. Now, 30 million years had passed. With his comprehension ability, he had comprehended the void array of the Black Gourd. Not only had his Tao of Mirage reached a bottleneck, even his understanding of the primal chaos void had become more profound. He had pushed the walker's hidden secret to the 6th level. Only after reaching this level did Dongbua Shui Ying understand why the Void Walker lineage was so strict in choosing their inheritors. Even their temperament was required. They were afraid that the inheritor would not be suitable. Indeed, this was a heaven-defying cultivation system. Compared to the 18 widely spread cultivation systems recorded in the crystal given by Third Highness Jiao Yunlu, it had a clear advantage at the Paragon realm. In the future, when one cultivated to the level of Forefather Tian Yu and Lake Hard Island Swordmaster, the laws and profound mysteries system might be comparable to the Voidwalker lineage. But in the early stages, at least at the Paragon realm, the Voidwalker system would suppress all other systems. It is my fortune to be able to enter the Devil Mountain cosmos with an advantage of 3,000 times faster time flow. Before the final battle, I have to grab hold of this opportunity to improve myself. Dongwu Shuiying felt that he was strong, but this was not the end. His strength still had room for improvement at the Paragon realm. Suddenly, there was a faint tremor outside the Eden treasure. Dongwu Shuiying raised his head with suspicion. What is happening? Guards, quickly protect His Highness. An urgent message was sent to all the guards. Dongwu Shuiying, as a great being from another universe, did not have karma, so he also carried a communication treasure. Protect His Highness? Dongwu Shuiying was shocked. Whoosh! Dongwu Shuiying disappeared from the heavenly abode world. His Highness Jiao Yunlu excitedly rushed back to the palace on the surface and instructed the guards beside him, I'm going to cultivate in seclusion. No one is to disturb me. Yes, the 4 guards replied in unison. Jiao Yunlu had just rushed into his secret hall and closed the door. He was holding the golden bottle in his hand, but he didn't have the time to take out the black devil holy fruits. Suddenly, a wave of fluctuation spread out. Jiao Yunlu's expression changed. As he was the one controlling the core formation of this planet, he had immediately sensed that an enemy had infiltrated the planet. South. He immediately rushed out. Just as he reached the entrance of his palace, he saw a group of figures standing in the air. The leader was a man in golden armor. He also had crimson scales, and there was also a crimson scale between his eyebrows. Even his appearance was similar to Jiao Yunlu's, but his eyes were colder. Big brother? Jiao Yunlu's expression turned ashen. My poor little brother, your big brother is here again. The man in golden armor laughed. Your luck is not bad to actually discover a black devil holy fruit tree. Since it's already matured, give it to me, your big brother. Jiao Yunlu's gaze immediately swept past the 4 guards. He no longer had his usual friendliness. Instead, there was a trace of madness. He looked at the 4 guards and gritted his teeth. Which one of you betrayed me? These 4 guards, 2 of them were the ones who had discovered the black devil holy fruit tree, while the other 2 were his most trusted guards. However, now that the news had been exposed, he could not have exposed himself. Hence, it could only be one of the 4 guards who knew about the black devil holy fruit tree. Not us. When we discovered the black devil holy fruit tree, we immediately reported it to His Highness. If we betrayed him, there was no need for us to tell His Highness. 2 of the guards hurriedly said, My useless little brother, you still can't guess it? Cha Yin no, your mission is complete. You don't have to stay by my little brother's side anymore. The man in golden armor sneered. Immediately, a tall guard in gray armor flew up and landed beside the man in golden armor and the other experts. He said respectfully, Actually, he didn't suspect me at all. I can continue to stay by his side. Cha! His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at the tall guard in disbelief. You betrayed me? Why? Out of all the guards, he trusted Cha Yun Nong the most. His wife and Cha Yun Nong were blood siblings. Hence, towards Cha Yun Nong, the 3rd Highness was especially fond of him. Cha Yun Nong should be the one with the lowest talent among his guards. If not for the 3rd Highness's help, Cha Yun Nong would not have his current strength. Idiot! The tall guard in gray armor sneered, too lazy to say anything else. Little brother, why? Are you still planning to struggle? The man in golden armor smiled. 3rd Highness. Beside the man in golden armor, a red-haired, one-eyed old man said with a vigorous voice, There's no need to struggle. Just hand over the black devil sacred fruits to the eldest Highness. Otherwise, you and all your guards will die. Within the Devil Mountain cosmos, even the children of void gods would fight against each other. As long as their souls did not dissipate, the void gods would not care. Without experiencing setbacks and tribulations, it was hard for one to become strong, even if one had a noble bloodline. Even the void gods would add fuel to the fire in the dark, setting up many traps for their children. Red Devil, God Emperor. Jiao Yunlu gritted his teeth. He had fought with the eldest Highness for so many years, and had always been on the losing end. It was all because of this ruler from another race, Red Devil God Emperor. With a ruler helping his big brother, The disparity in strength between both parties made him suffer every single time. His big brother had a cold and crazy personality, tormenting him time after time. To this, that great emperor Jiao Yun, who was cultivating in the deepest region of the primogenitor Devil Mountain, simply watched on coldly. He was too lazy to care. Hand it over. This time, my mood is good, so I won't play with you anymore. The eyes of the golden-armored male were filled with craziness and expectation. He had never thought that this little brother of his could discover the Black Devil's sacred fruit tree. If not for the fact that he was afraid of his little brother destroying the fruit tree, he would have long acted. Only when the fruit matured and the Black Devil's sacred fruit was incomparably tough and indestructible did he reveal himself publicly. After obtaining this sacred object, he had hopes of breaking through to the ruler realm. You are delusional, Jiao Yun Lu growled. It's a pity that you can't destroy it even if you want to. Since you don't agree, then I can only act. The golden-armored male softly said, in a while, don't show mercy. Kill them all and take back the Black Devil's sacred fruit. Yes, the group of protectors under him acknowledged. The golden-armored male turned to the Red Devil God Emperor by his side. This was his greatest reliance. For the sake of roping in a ruler to work for him, he had spent quite a bit of effort. The Red Devil God Emperor lightly nodded. Hong, His Highness Jiao Yun Lu stood there, but the palace beside him suddenly erupted with rings of arrays. In fact, the arrays all over the planet were activated, causing a powerful aura to surge. His Highness Jiao Yun Lu, who was protected by layers of arrays, even took a step back into the palace. He looked at the group of enemies outside through the main door and bellowed, Jiao Yun Tung, don't even think about getting it. Even if I die, I won't let you get it. What do you mean by death? I'm just going to destroy this clone of yours. You're my little brother. How would I dare to kill you for real? The golden-armored male laughed. There's one more thing that you're wrong about. After I kill all of you, the Black Devil's sacred fruit will be mine. You won't be able to stop me. Protectors, quickly protect His Highness. The other protector beside him felt somewhat uneasy and hurriedly transmitted message. Hoo. At that moment, the protectors scattered throughout the cavern dwellings on the planet immediately rushed over. The planet was only so big, so even if they were to fly, they would still be able to reach the palace of His Highness Jiao Yun Lu in the blink of an eye. Amongst them was Ying, who had rushed over after hearing the news. The golden-armored male swept his gaze across the group of protectors and sneered, a bunch of fools. Go kill all of them. Chapter 754. Yes, this group of guards was filled with killing intent, especially Chai Yun-nong, who had just revealed his identity. He was itching to show his strength. They had the ruler, the Red Devil Emperor, on their side. This filled them with confidence. After all, the difference between a paragon and a ruler was too great. Once one stepped into the ruler realm, it would be a qualitative change. Monarch Green was able to sweep through a group of paragons. However, when he reached the bottleneck in all three Daos, he was only able to fight against the weakest ruler, Bloody Ruler Nile. From this, it could be seen how great the difference between a paragon and a ruler was. They would definitely win. This was a massacre. Boom, 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 boom. All of them transformed into streams of light and charged towards Donghua, Ying, and the other guards. As for Donghua, Ying, and the rest, they rushed over with some confusion. Brother Tsong, Brother Shandan, what's going on? Donghua, Ying did not understand the situation. Beside him, Protector Tsong, Shandan, and the rest had a change in expression. After all, they had followed the first prince for a longer period of time. With a single glance, they recognized the first prince, Jiao Yun Tung. They also saw the red-haired, one-eyed old man. That was an existence they could not fight against, the ruler, the Red Devil God Emperor. The first prince has brought people over. Beside him is the ruler, the Red Devil God Emperor. Shandan transmitted to Donghua Ying. With the Red Devil God Emperor here, we will be sending ourselves to death again. Protector Tsong was also feeling bitter. Donghua Ying immediately understood. In the past 30 million years, he would occasionally come out to spar with the other guards and gain some information. He knew that the person His Highness Jiao Yunlu was most hostile towards was the first prince, Jiao Yuntong. They are here. Before the Red Devil God Emperor makes his move, we will kill as many as we can. Let's go all out. The guards who had rushed over quickly judged the situation and knew that they had no hope of winning. All of them were filled with anger. They were venerable realm existences after all, and they had their dignity and face. They were not willing to be slaughtered just like that. They had to retaliate and kill as many as they could before the Red Devil God Emperor, who thought highly of himself, made a move. Ying looked at the group of enemy experts who had turned into streams of light and were brimming with killing intent. He then turned to the distant Red Devil God Emperor. His eyes were filled with expectations. It would be great if I could fight with a ruler before my cultivator Cosmos starts fighting with the ancestor mother religion. Hua! Ying flipped his hand, causing 6 darts to appear. After reaching the 6th level of the Voidwalker body, he had only infused a small portion of the frightening strength he had into the darts. After all, he could easily pinch the 3 holy protectors to death with his current strength. Dealing against a group of paragons, he did not have to spend too much strength. He directly flung them out. The 6 darts disappeared into the mirage world. Following that, another 6 darts appeared in Dongbua Ying's hand. He flung them out once again. This set of darts was obtained from the protectors of the ancestor mother religion, and there were exactly 12 of them. The 12 darts flew within the mirage world. All of them contained a terrifying power. Under the control of Dongbua Ying, the 12 darts flew out from the mirage world at the same time, arriving in front of 12 of the enemy's protectors. Those 12 protectors did not have the time to resist. After all, Dongbua Ying's Dao Mirage had long reached a bottleneck. In the cultivator cosmos, not a single paragon could sense it in advance. One could see the 12 protectors being struck by the darts in their chests. The darts penetrated through their chests before disappearing. At the moment when the darts penetrated their chests, an unseen energy filled with killing intent was transmitted into their bodies, causing every single part of their bodies to tremble. The 12 protectors were originally flying at high speed, but following that, they began to slow down due to inertia. This made the other protectors look over in bewilderment. The bodies of the protectors were like grains of sand. They began crumbling apart before being annihilated. The bodies of the 12 protectors had completely crumbled apart. One of the protectors was reborn from nothingness. He was wearing a black robe and had a stooped body. Beneath the black robe, his green eyes were staring at the distant Dongbua Ying with terror. The entire place turned silent. Be it the protectors of Dongbua Ying or the protectors of the Crown Prince, all of them stopped moving. Why is it him again? It's him again? I'm not willing. I am not willing. His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at the golden-armored male in the distance. His body was trembling. Clearly, he was enraged to the extreme. I discovered that the Black Devil Sacred Fruit Tree has been enduring for so long just to use the fruit to break through. Why is he here again? I am not willing. His Highness Jiao Yunlu looked at the group of protectors under him and the group of his big brother who were about to fight. His heart ached. He was clear. That Red Devil God Emperor would casually kill the strongest protectors on his side. The rest of the protectors would be surrounded and killed. What should I do? What should I do? Jiao Yunlu felt anger, despair, and unwillingness. The blood in his body was boiling, and his mind was about to explode. Suddenly, Jiao Yunlu was stunned. He stared blankly into the distance. The 12 darts pierced through the chests of the 12 protectors before disappearing. The protectors' bodies immediately crumbled apart. Only one of them was reborn from the void. Jiao Yunlu's gaze landed on the distant Dongbua Ying. At this moment, the 12 darts had already appeared in front of Dongbua Ying. With a wave of his hand, he kept the darts. Protector Dongbua? Jiao Yunlu muttered. Scared stiff. Scared stiff. Not to mention the group of enemy guards. Even his companions were scared out of their wits. He had only thrown a few darts, and 11 venerable realm guards had died. Those protectors were all wearing armor, yet they were all killed in a single strike. How many protectors did the crown prince have? There were only slightly over 20 of them. How many times could he kill them? Brother Donghua, Shandan, Protector Tsong, and the rest were also stunned. They did not dare to believe that this good-tempered companion of theirs, who had sparred with them several times, was actually so terrifying. Still not leaving? As Donghua Shuang spoke, he did not stop and continued flying towards Jiao Yinlu. Retreat. The protectors of the crown prince were so frightened that they started to flee. They no longer had any thoughts of fighting. The current Donghua Shui Ying was too strong. He was much stronger than Monarch Green and Peng before they became sovereigns. To these paragons, this was simply a massacre. The difference is too great. No wonder Master and the rest did not allow the paragons to participate in the final battle. Donghua Shui Ying thought to himself. The rulers did not even care about his previous strength. Only the power of the Black Gourd was of some help. However, the current me should be sufficient, right? Donghua Shui Ying glanced at the Blood Devil God Emperor before landing in front of the palace. He looked at the astonished His Highness Jiao Yunlu and greeted, "Your Highness." Bodyguard Donghua. His Highness Jiao Yunlu was truly astonished. This newly joined bodyguard Donghua had only treated him according to his old habits. He did not think that Donghua Shui Ying was too important. But today he was completely stunned. This bodyguard Donghua was simply unimaginable. Most likely, even if his big brother's protectors joined hands, they would still be swept away by Donghua Shui Ying. "Your Highness, there is no need to worry. With me around, no one will be able to harm your Highness," said Donghua Shui Ying. Good. You must be careful of that Red Devil God Emperor. He is a ruler and is extremely powerful. His Highness Jiao Yinlu was still feeling uneasy. After all, that was a ruler. Donghua Shui Ying laughed. He was not confident that he could defeat a ruler, but he was confident that he could protect Donghua Shui Ying. After reaching the 6th level of the Voidwalker realm, his control over the void was much stronger. He could easily bring Donghua Shui Ying and escape in an instant. However, he would not admit defeat so easily. What arrogant words! A cold voice came from afar. Donghua Shui Ying turned his head. The golden-armored man, Jiao Yuntong, who was high up in the sky, had a look of anger on his face. "You are the newly recruited protector of my useless little brother? You think too highly of yourself." He looked at the Red Devil God Emperor beside him. The Red Devil God Emperor, on the other hand, had a calm look in his eyes. He even revealed a smile and said, "Brat, your strength is not bad. Amongst paragons, you could be considered invincible. Right, what is your name?" "My name is Donghua Shui Ying." Donghua Shui Ying raised his head and looked at Jiao Yunlu. The Red Devil God Emperor found it interesting. "I want to kill your Highness and take away the Black Devil's sacred fruits. Are you sure you want to fight against me?" Donghua Shui Ying suppressed his excitement and anticipation. After cultivating for 30 million years, he was unsure of his own strength. The final battle in his hometown caused him to look forward to fighting against a ruler. Looking at the Red Devil God Emperor in the sky, Donghua Shui Ying's eyes lit up. He grinned and said, "I look forward to fighting against you. I have never fought against a ruler before." That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.